multiplied. And maybe December 2025.
Wow, that was amazing.
Kelvin, what comes to your mind when you hear tech first?
Tech,
Yes.
tech.
What comes to your mind? Don't think too much.
Money.
Money.
Yeah. What comes to your mind when you hear tech?
Well, my own is code. So many codes. Codes.
Well, we hope that we'll be able to, debunk that today and see what comes to a lot of our minds when we hear tech. So, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Tech for All 2025. I don't know, are we excited? Please, we need all the energy we can get in the room.
More energy.
We are tech bros, Texas. You know what comes to your mind when you hear tech bros? Texas. Even if you're not a tech person yet, you'll find out that you are into tech already.
One way or the other.
We need that energy in the room, please. We need that energy in the room.
Yes,
So, welcome everybody to Tech for All 2025.
Round of applause, please.
Our energy is still not high. It is still not high.
I think I know why. So
Okay.
let's apologize. Yes, we wasted your time. We kept a lot of you people waiting. So we would like to apologize to everybody.
We are deeply sorry.
Well,
We didn't mean to do it, but it happened like that. We are
It's
so
not our
sorry.
fault.
It's
It
our
is
fault.
also our fault.
It's
But
our
we're sorry.
fault. It's our fault. We're sorry.
Yeah. So welcome to Tech for All, and I hope that by the end of the show, those of us that are still looking to transition into Tech Bros or Texas,
When we're already doing tech. We're into tech already now.
well,
Even
I only
WhatsApp
know.
is tech.
But you know, the funny thing, when you said Texas, yeah,
Eh.
I only know about Tech Bros. I've never really heard
Can
of
you imagine?
Texas.
No, we need to fight for our rights. Why would he say he has not heard of Texas before? I don't understand.
Have you?
No, why?
I've only, yeah, Texas.
Texas,
really?
please, let's
So
make...
Texas in the house, please. Show us. See?
No, the energy is not... I know, don't fall my
See?
hand, please. Let's
Tech
not fall
Bros
my
in the
hand.
house, please. Let's say something. Come on.
It's Abuja people. We have steals. No, but seriously. Okay, so
I
we're
didn't know
going
they
to...
were Tech Bros, but I just discovered that. So my text is, I'm seeing you for the first time. Hi.
This is not just one. Every sister here is a Texas.
Everybody.
Yes, don't
Yeah,
use
now
WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp. Texas, right? Texas. Hey, WhatsApp is a tech platform.
Okay. Eh?
Is it? Please, these are daily things we use in tech. It's a tech platform.
What? Tech Bros, are we going to accept that? WhatsApp?
No, we have to accept
No,
there's equality in
no,
everything.
they are-
No,
tech-
there's equality.
One thing I know about tech people is that they have special apps. They don't use the normal apps like we do. Yeah. Oh,
We
you
use
do?
normal apps. We do. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we're going to do something beautiful very quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to turn to our neighbor. So pick a neighbor. Turn to the neighbor either by your left
Pick
or
a
by
neighbor,
your right.
yes. A fine neighbor.
And
We're
you know
all-
what you will do?
Because I've noticed that a lot of us are looking so amazing here. So please and please, let's tell our neighbor you look stunning, you look awesome, you know.
No, tech people are not shy. They should not even. I don't
Yeah.
know why this energy is.
One
still-
thing I also know about tech people is that we're good when it comes to networking. So what are you
Exactly.
people doing?
You know
What's
what?
with the
You know
code
what that
vibes?
Web3 thing looks like? The Web3 logo. You know those interconnectedness. You know how to network well.
So let's network now, let's tell our neighbor, yo, you look good, you look nice.
I don't know why we are maintaining
you
steals.
people are
We
dodging
should
my
not even
energy.
maintain
Brotherly, you
steals
look
at
nice.
all. Tell them you look beautiful.
Take
You
your
look,
time, get to know your neighbor, network, get to know people.
and then another thing you will tell your neighbor. Tell your neighbor that your go-to
Maybe
tool.
by the next show now, you'll be the one telling us, oh, from the first Tech for All, you network with so, and then you launch.
You won't do. So, another thing we will do, you will still tell that neighbor, okay, this is one tech tool I cannot do without every time. Tell that your neighbor, this is one tech tool I cannot do without. Kelvin, what is that
one
tech tool you
tech.
cannot do without? What is
No, you have to answer. Yes,
no,
when they ask you.
what tech tool can you not do without?
What app can I not do without?
Yes. I think my own is WhatsApp. WhatsApp. I cannot do without WhatsApp, right?
Wow. I thought we're in the generation where WhatsApp doesn't really count as tech anymore.
WhatsApp is tech, please, guys. Please. Let's
Okay.
debunk any rumor, anything that is in your head that WhatsApp is not tech.
See,
Let's debunk it.
see
You know what
networking
people
going
are
on
building
here.
with WhatsApp? And this is beautiful. This is amazing.
Yeah,
because this
please
is
involve me, oh. Involve me, please.
Involve you, but you are here. You are not inside.
Yeah, no, let me go
It's
inside.
a lie. Okay, so thank you very much. That was amazing. This is amazing. So beautiful to have you here. And to take us on the welcome remarks, to welcome us properly to Tech for All 2025, we're going to have Dr. Irose Akpari.
Please, a round of applause for our doctor.
Please, the energy must be high.
Thank you so very much. I would just love to get quickly started. But first off, let me apologize again. There were so many things that happened that led to us starting late, and we are very sorry. So anyway, let's just get right to it. This is Tech for All. I want to start by saying a very big thank you to everybody that made this possible. I'll start by thanking the head of the community groups here at Light Nation Abuja, Mr. Alesh. His support was amazing and phenomenal, and that's why we are here today. Next up, I want to thank our very dear resident pastors, Pastor Tumisha Apara and Pastor Grace Apara. Very, very wonderful people who just gave us the opportunity to do this. And then finally, I want to thank our lead pastors, Apostle Femi Lazarus and Pastor Miracle Femi Lazarus, for this opportunity. So, Tech for All is very literal. It is tech for everyone. Because we started this because we realized that at the very least, the average person uses a ton of tech tools, maybe an average of 10 to 15 tech tools on a daily basis without realizing. And in the process of using these things, there's so many things that happen. You share your data willingly or unwittingly. You share information that is very important. There's just so much that happens. And what happens to that data? What happens to your future when some of that data is compromised? There's just so many things that happen that we're not aware of. So that was one of the things. But majorly, we also thought about the fact that this is 2025, and we are 3 years into the dawn of generative AIs. That's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and all those AI tools that we use. And in just 3 years, our lives have been remarkably transformed. The Tech for All video we just watched was like 80% done with AI. In less than 30 minutes, we got those videos together, stitched them, and then we had somebody do the editing. So there's so much that is being done with AI tools on a daily basis. And the average person needs to be involved. This is not like something that should be distant from everybody. And so we organize this event to ensure we can give people first an understanding so they don't feel overwhelmed. Because one thing we've realized is that when you're getting into something new, there's a tendency to be overwhelmed by what you see. Secondly, we also wanted to dispel some myths around tech, just so that when people see what's going on, they don't feel like it's the Antichrist that is coming through ChatGPT. They understand practically how to use these tools. So we wanted to be able to give that to the people. And then for people who also may want to transition to tech, during the panel session, you will have the opportunity to ask questions from amongst the speakers, and then it would be very, very wonderful. So please just sit back, relax. It's going to be a very amazing session. We have amazing speakers for this symposium. There is myself. I'll be speaking on AIs and how it's shaping the job of the future. We also have Samuel Ipo. He's going to be speaking on the infidelity of data. Very interesting topic because a lot of us trust our data too much. Then we also have Anyakora Araka. He's going to be speaking on the dynamic aspect of the laws that govern. Why I chuckled was because I don't want to go into his talk, but we don't have any laws anyway. So then finally we have Sheto. Sheto is going to be speaking on a very interesting aspect of cybersecurity, which is cybersecurity for the individual and cybersecurity for corporate. So please, You are in for a very proper tech event. Thank you so very much for coming. We're very happy to have you all. Thank you.
Do you know that I just realized something? A lot of us can't do without ChatGPT.
You know, I wanted to mention ChatGPT before.
Yeah,
It's
like
not WhatsApp.
my,
ChatGPT.
my daily duty is ChatGPT. Even to plan my day, ChatGPT.
That thing just makes life easier. Like, why are you doing life hardly? You don't have to live hard life. Do soft life.
Use AI. AI is free of charge. Use
Okay,
AI.
so yes, let's move on, please, because of our time. So moving on, we're going to be inviting our first speaker to, bless our minds, open up our minds, and for all of us that think that we're not into tech yet, just relax your mind. You're going to
Calm down.
metamorph. You transition into the tech world.
Do like this.
differently.
Yes.
So, Sammy is an information systems manager who has built a career in the oil and gas industry. He is a certified project manager who has sought to balance his technical IT background with operational knowledge of the business world. This led to him finding his major footing in IT strategy, where the focus is on aligning technology with business goals and mapping out long-term plans for the development and deployment of IT solutions. Having consulted for organizations across different sectors, from software development to retailing, he has gained proficiency in understanding the use of data in business decision making. He remains a passionate researcher on human technology relationships and the psychology of human beings as he drives the future of solution development. With
Wow.
great joy.
Please,
Let's
a
jam on
round
this
of
together.
applause.
With
I don't.
joy.
You guys were not stunned by everything.
Please, with joy in our hands.
Please,
welcome
let's clap. Let's
Mr.
clap. Let's clap.
Sammy Sylvester
Woo!
Aipo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to everyone. It's nice to see everyone, and you're all looking really good. My name is Sammy, and today we'll be talking about data infidelity, essentially giving us an idea of why you shouldn't trust everything, but also actually why not everything is terribly bad. So we'll be getting to that discussion straight away. Can we have the slides, please? So, just to give us a very quick background, you can move to the very first slide. We'll be going through a quick introduction. We'll talk about data quality versus quantity. We'll also discuss the big data space and how that has influenced decision making when it comes to bad data that has been input. We'll talk about dangers for you as the users of AI, and we would also discuss how you can be your own auditor. In other words, to make it safe for you to use. So, next slide, please. So, essentially, we have a pyramid here, this beautiful looking pyramid. It shows us the transition from data to what we have as intelligence. Now, imagine you wanted to buy noodles, for example, and I said to you, Dangote noodles. Now, semantically, it makes sense. It's in English, you understand what it is that I've said, but I've not really passed across any information. You can't use what I've said for anything. For all you know, you're not even sure if I actually was saying you should buy Dangote noodles or not buy Dangote noodles. So essentially, it's unsynthesized. That's what is called data. It makes logical sense, but in reality, it doesn't mean much for you. That's data. Now, if I was to say that Dangote noodles cost 200 naira, now I have synthesized it a bit. So it has transitioned from being raw data to being information. Now it makes some sense. Now you can use it if you wanted to, but still we know that there's more that can be derived from that. So imagine if I said further, I said Dangote noodles is 200 naira, but Indomie noodles is 300 naira. Now from data, it has become information, and now it has become knowledge. So now you have derived what you can use from it. It is comparable, it has context within the space of the pricing, and it makes even more sense. That's what is called knowledge. But within the computer space and the information systems architecture, we realize that by asking the questions why, you can even derive much more from what we even have at the moment. So now imagine with this synonym, imagine if I said to you, Dangote noodles is 200 naira, Indomie noodles is 300 naira, and the reason why Dangote noodles is cheaper is because their distribution comes at cheaper costs, and it's because the raw materials that they use are a lot cheaper. Wow. Now we have what's called intelligence. It is actionable knowledge. you have been able to learn and you can apply it even further. You can use it to solve problems. And so that's the transition from data to intelligence. Now, the advent of what we have as the AI world is simply being able to make that transition as quickly as possible. So everyone's hunt is to get from the space of data to intelligence as fast as is necessary. And the reason is simple. Next slide, please. The reason for this pursuit is simply because it's all about money. Everyone is chasing the quickest cash. And the easiest way to do it is to be able to make that transition as fast as possible. The person who can make it the quickest is the one who would be able to sell it quickly, and is the one who will be able to derive the most from it in terms of value. So at the end of the day, it is actually all about money. So you have companies funneling billions and billions into their projects simply for this one reason. They want to collect as much data as they can and synthesize it into actionable intelligence. And so they pump more and load into their data systems, so much so that they now have to filter it to find what's right. Next slide. Now, with the advent of big data, what happens is that there's so much that is put into AI systems and AI models that many people make different analyses and assumptions. So many people think AI actually thinks. Well, it doesn't, because it doesn't have a brain, certainly not like humans. Dr. Russell would tell us a little bit more about cognitive thinking and the difference between what human beings do actively and what AI models actually do. So what they do essentially is make predictions using pattern recognition and historical data from what is loaded into the system, and they make predictions on what they believe could be right per questions asked or per situations that come about. So whether you like it or not, even in the real sense of it, as far as we have gotten with computing and information technology, that statement still stands true. It still actually is garbage in, garbage out, even till now. Next slide. So, with this outlook on big data, in order to make data into intelligence, everyone wants to funnel in as much data as they can into systems so that they can derive as much intelligence as possible. But the confusion now becomes that a lot of people now believe that the actual goal is to have as much data as they can. Well, in and of itself, that doesn't help so much. Yes, it helps if you have a lot of data, but the real trick factor in it is actually the quality, not just the quantity of that data. Having poor data quality could actually lead to what we call within the computer space hallucinations of AI. So I'm not sure if many people have had these experiences, but there are times when you ask several questions, even to your regular AI chatbots, and even you seeing the responses, you know that this is wrong. That's what is called a hallucination. It's called an error. Now, the reason why many of us may not have had this experience is what that chart below now shows. So, this shows the upper limit of errors or potential hallucinations on average that AI has been seen to have. Now with LLMs are language learning models. With top performing LLMs, you only have from -1% error to maybe about 7% error. And a lot of the tasks we give AIs to perform are within that scope. That's actually the reason why we've not seen a lot of errors with AI, because a lot of the things we do are simple language learning module tasks. Now with simple tasks, it could get up to about 15% of error rates. With specialized tasks, we have AI models that we could have up to about 49% error rate. And this is why we have to actually be careful. And with complex reasoning, you could have even as high as 94% of hallucinations. And these have been done by research and by analysis into the several AI models that we already. Okay. Next slide, please. So, I just want to quickly give us some instances or some examples of times when we've had bad data being thrown into AI models and how it led to bad decisions being made. So the outcomes that came out of this is bad, because essentially what we're trying to understudy is the fact that all the AI models, even the ones we are used to, that we trust so much, they are only dependent on the actual data that is filtered into it. So the quality of the data that is put in is what actually determines the outcomes that we get, even though we trust them so much as though they were the final say on things. The first example a resume screening tool was created, and it was to be deployed to companies who do hiring and HR-related functions. Now, majority of the data that was input into this system was actually from a certain company. It was a tech company, but it was a male-dominated company. So the data set that was poured in was the resumes of the people who worked in that company. Now, the company was male-dominated, so the vast majority of the resumes that were filtered into the system were for men. And so what happened was that eventually when this AI model was deployed and it was being used by the company, after a while, the company that paid for this tool discovered that it was filtering away several applications automatically. And then they went to look through it back end and they saw that it was filtering away applications from women. And the reason why was simply because of the quality of the data that was input. Because a lot of the historical data that was put into that AI model was for men. And so by instinct, the model itself did not recognize the data from women as viable applications for that job role. A second example is what you have with facial recognition systems. Now, facial recognition systems work by having, I'm sure if you have launched a new phone that has facial recognition on it, at the launching of your phone, it will request that you hold it up to your face, you tilt your head a couple of ways, and that's just to get used to your own face so that when you start using that facial recognition, it knows who is using it. Now, similarly, facial recognition AI models are used in the same vein, but large amounts of images of human beings are put in, and then it starts to make recognition from time to time. Now, when several models were first created for facial recognition, the vast amount of data that was put into it were for white males. So white men had the most examples of images that were filtered into the AI models that were used for facial recognition at the beginning. And so what then happened was that when these systems were deployed, they could not recognize black people, it could not recognize women. So as much as people would have gone through these AI models and thought they were the perfect thing for facial recognition, it actually couldn't recognize basic human features for black people and for women, simply because of the data that was put into it. So it is still very dependent on its input data. The third example is quite similar. A new health policy was being created, and the government wanted to use an AI model to be able to predict what demography of people would benefit most from that health policy. And so they filtered in several amounts of data, large health data for health records for different people. But again, mostly it was for white people. And so that AI model completely underestimated the impact of that policy on the black people in that society. These are all examples. Now, what makes it quite interesting is the fact that I've had people who researched these examples who actually believed that these things were done deliberately. So their own postulation was that the people behind these AI models filtered in these data sets intentionally so that they could have those bad outcomes. So like in the case of the facial recognition, you still had, even up to as recently as 2 years ago, AI models who, when you put the picture of a black man, will recognize it and say, oh, this is a monkey or it's a chimpanzee. Yeah, even as recently as 2 years ago, or even a year and a half ago, maybe. Now, a lot of people postulate that these things were done deliberately to fit people's agenda. Now, whether you believe that or not, the point is for you to realize that the people who are actually operating these things at the back actually have more power than we think they do. Simply because the amount of data and the actual quality of that data can be deliberately input to have a certain bias to it. So like these examples, you could tell that if it was someone's deliberate effort to do that, you can see how it has worked in their favor for what they wanted to do. Next slide. Now, the reason why this is important for us to take note of is this, the danger for you. Now, this card that you see is what is called a buyer persona. Some people call it a user profile. And quite reductively, some people refer to it as a user story. Well, it is not exactly that, but yeah, you get the point. So, what this is a summary of people's behavioral patterns, of people's buying patterns, and who is buying what. Now, I have a very interesting story. A few of my friends know this story about a time when I was doing a data analysis for a supermarket chain, and I went through their data sets of all their buyers, you know, from all these shopping cards and shopping vouchers that they give you. So they actually know who is buying what. That's the idea of it, actually. It's not really to give you bonus points. They want to know who is buying what. And so I went through all those records, and it was quite interesting when I discovered that the people who bought Pampers and diapers were the same people who were buying six-pack beer. And so when I saw that, I suggested to the manager of the supermarket, and I said, oh, do you want to try something crazy? What would happen if we put these two products side by side each other in the supermarket? And thankfully, the guy was weird enough to want to try it. So he agreed, and he tried it. And for the next month, they sold more than they had sold in the last 3 months put together. That's actually what can happen with data. And that's the reason why companies want to know you. They want to know who is buying what and who is doing what, so that they can optimize it. So the dangers for you, AI creates behavioral patterns, and what it observes is these things. It observes what you ask. So when you're asking different questions to your AI chatbots, it's observing what you're asking. It's also observing how long you look at different kinds of content, whether it's on your AI chatbots, whether it's on your social media tools, and all that stuff. It's also analyzing the content that you like and the things that you swipe away, the things that you ignore. It's taking note of all those things. It's noticing the times that you come online, the specific moments that you're available for, and how long you stay online. And funny enough, AIs can also tell how you spend your money, simply because of your behavioral patterns. So that's the actual idea that companies want. They want to get to know you. And what AI learns from all of these things, it learns your interests, it learns your beliefs, it learns your emotional triggers, and it also learns your fears and your insecurities. And again, they use this all because they want to make money. So imagine if I was behind any of these AI tools and I could tell the people who were scared of dying from cancer, and I could tell the demographic that had the most number of those people across the world. All I would need to do is create a drug and term it a cancer preventive drug and go to that place and sell it. It is actually that simple. That's why they want to get to know you. Next slide. Now, in talking about the dangers for you, similar to what I just said, micro-targeting. So they send you personalized ads. They send you political messaging because they've seen the kinds of patterns that, you follow. They've seen the kinds of things that you like to look at. They send you political messaging in that line. They also send you custom news feed. Also, you have recommendation algorithms where it gives you content that, emphasizes or confirms the things that you believe in. You also have content amplification. So you have content, or you tend to see more content, what we call the algorithm. You tend to see more content that shows you rumors, that shows you different sensational and conspiracy-related things. You wonder why on your Instagram, every time you open it, it's kind of like Instablog is always the first thing you see. That's the reason why. It's not because the news those things give are true. It's because those things have the largest amount of engagement. So because of pattern recognition, it has seen that those are the things people want to see the most. And also you have some dark habits, or as it's called, some dark patterns. So AI manufacturers and AI operators have sold some of these studies that they've made on people's behavioral patterns to different website companies, and those people have used this knowledge to create websites where they deliberately put things in different corners because they know these are the places people would look at first and stuff like that. Next slide. So very quickly, we'll run through things we can do. In being your own auditor, these are some of the things you can do to secure your data in the world of AI. The first is you need to be conscious of the things that you share. And the rule when it comes to IT is that if it's not needed, you don't need to share it. So what we do with our social media, what we do with other forms of media, where we put in different kinds of sensitive and confidential information, those are things we need to be careful of. Next, we need to manage our app permissions. Many of us don't even know that these things exist deliberately. On all your apps, there are permissions that are given for the kinds of data that is being used. You must make sure it's done well. You could go to the settings of each of those apps and check those things out. Also read the privacy settings. It's really important. Avoid public Wi-Fi. Some of us feel so much ginger, if I should use that word, whenever we get to an airport or we get to a restaurant and there's free Wi-Fi to use. As much as possible, particularly when you know that you're working with a system where you have sensitive information, you try as much as possible to avoid that. Also, it's important to verify AI tools. Now, the people behind these things perhaps have their own agendas, have their own biases that they use. And so it's important that we pay mind to that when we use these tools. understanding that you have to verify what you are using before you use it. Now, one thing that's really important to note when it comes to this point is the fact that all of these AI tools that we use cost billions and billions of dollars to create. So the fact that they bring it to your doorstep for free should make you know that if this person spends this much money, surely they won't spend this much money for nothing. So if you're not paying for it in terms of your money, then surely you're paying for it in another way. You must ensure that you're not paying for it with your privacy. So verify your AI tools. And lastly, you think before you click. I'm sure this will be touched on when we discuss cybersecurity. Next slide. Now, in terms of being your own auditor, the things you can do to get the best quality of information even as you use your AI tools. Firstly, you diversify your information sources. So don't make your AI tools the primary or the only sources of your information. Read books, use articles, you can use academic papers, expert reports, and so on and so forth. Those are other viable forms of data and information sources you can have. Also, you understand how algorithms work. It really helps a lot when you understand these things because you'll be able to filter what is just being presented to you from what you actually need. Always verify, as stated earlier. Now, there's an acronym we have, it's an ABC. It's used with investigation, but it's also used with research. And the ABC acronym simply stands for assume nothing, believe nothing, and check everything. Next, it's important that we learn to ask AI better questions. Now, something interesting happened backstage when we're preparing for this, and we're trying to change this backdrop from white to black. And we sent an AI prompt to change it to black, and it changed it, but the grid lines were very well pronounced. And so it only showed that if we asked better, and if we gave better context to what we wanted, we would have had better results, which was exactly what we eventually did. And thank God it's looking as beautiful as it's looking. So the better the quality of the question you ask, the better the quality of the answer you would receive. There are actually crash courses that teach how to ask high-value questions to your AI chatbots. Next, we also have to beware of bias. We've already spoken about that. Whenever you're asking any questions of your AI chatbot, be aware that there are biases involved, either from the operators or the people who have fed it with its own data. And also, you develop critical thinking skills. These also help a lot. Next slide. Now, in conclusion, it's important for us to note that AI is not the enemy. Many of us can also attest to some great things that it does for us, even though it has its dangers. And within the IT space, we famously almost always say, you have to take the good with the bad. Well, when it comes to AI, which is a platform that has indefinite possibility for good as much as it has indefinite possibility for bad, the idea and the responsibility for each of us is to try to minimize the bad as much as possible and maximize the good as much as we can. And that would be it for this presentation. Next slide. Thank you very much.
Wow. I picked a lot, though. And the best part that I picked was when she asked me, what do I know in tech? And I said money. You see, he made reference to it. I was right.
Money is the main thing, don't you get it?
So I wasn't wrong. And then another thing I picked was...
assume nothing. Believe nothing. Check everything.
Check everything.
The fact that AI even has hallucinations, and this is real, because, there were times we used to, get wrong answers. We're like, no, this is not the answer I need. No, you have to even be intelligent to use AI in the first place. So I don't think anybody should just...
Do you guys remember Snapchat AI?
Snapchat has AI.
Yeah, there was a time when Snapchat had AI, and I thought I was in the right when in uni they give tests, and I'll just use Snapchat AI to get the answer.
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, it was wrong.
Very good. I like that.
But yeah, we're going to be calling out our second speaker now.
Please don't blame me. Don't blame me at all.
This is why you have to be in tech, so you'll not be making mistakes
I'm in
like
tech. Do you know what I do in tech? Don't even try. Do you know what I do? Do you know systems I build? Do you know communities I build? Don't even try it. Okay, so moving on to our next speaker, we have Dr. Irose Akpori. Dr. Akpori is a cognitive and computational neuroscientist with over a decade of experience consulting for organizations based in Israel, Germany, Switzerland, and Nigeria. He developed the proprietary principle-driven thought formulation methodology, a mental framework for neutralizing cognitive biases and applying bias-neutral thinking in thought formulation. He is the founder of 10Excel, the human intelligence company home to the 10Excel Institute of Thought Leadership, a neuroscience and machine learning intelligence research institute and provenance, an establishment that develops scientific tools for humanity. His latest published work is titled Advancing Average General Intelligence Through Principle-Driven Mental Models, an experimental study on bias, neutralization, and targeted neuroplasticity. He has an unending drive for advancing the average general intelligence of humans using mental models and targeted neuroplasticity. So with great joy in our hearts, with clapping ovation. I don't know why we're looking at me like this. Where's the energy in the room?
Dr.
With clapping ovation.
Apart.
Thank you. They said a lot of things when they were introducing me, so I'll just summarize. My name is Irose, and everything they said means that I'm a scientist that creates scientific tools to help people and machines think better. So welcome again. My session is an interesting one. I want to talk about a few things from where... So I want to talk about a few things, and I would start with a lot of history. So please, you bear with me. And then I'll go into some technical applications. And then finally, I'll tie it up with some applicable steps that everybody can take to go from where you are right now to where you ought to be using tech. So please, my slides. All right, so I'll be talking on the only job you need in the AI era. Now, the thing is, there's been a lot of anxiety, angst, fear, and just a lot of things surrounding what AI means to everybody. And so I realized that the reason is because everybody has to make a living. But to make a living, you need to be sure that the living you are making will still be viable in the future. So whatever job you're doing would still be useful tomorrow. And so I decided to just come up with this to help everybody find their place in the AI era. Next slide, please. So let's get grounded. As it stands today, about 90% of what we know about AI is marketing gimmicks. Only 10% is true. And it's for a good reason, because I'm a tech founder myself, and there is this thing that tech founders do, which is to exaggerate the meaning of certain things so that investors feel eager to invest in that particular industry. And so a lot of money flows into that industry, and once they've built their product, they begin to normalize things and then tell you guys the truth. So as it stands now, a lot of what they claim AIs can do is wrong. I'll just start with the fact that when you're using ChatGPT or any of the advanced AI chatbots, you would see things like thinking. They want you to think the AI is actually thinking. What's actually happening is the AI is just lagging. It's just going through a ton of data to give you some basic answers. It's not thinking, because the definition of what reasoning is based on neuroscience is an understanding of concepts and the ability to form new concepts. AIs can do that. At best, they are probabilistic pattern generators. What that means is they just make the best possible guess for each scenario to ensure that the user is pleased with them. And you can just try it out even now. Once you ask it a question, if it gives you an answer that may not be as accurate as you want and you probe it, it immediately begins to apologize. Do the same thing with an answer that is actually correct. It will still apologize because it doesn't know for certain if its answer is correct or not. And that's because it guessed the answer. So AIs are trained to get better and better at guessing. So you generally would find people like Geoffrey Hinton, who is widely regarded as the godfather of AI. You find people like him saying things like, he doesn't believe we'll get to AGI, that's advanced general intelligence, using just large language models. So there is this thing called spatial intelligence, which is what I think would have the best bet at getting us to AGI. So spatial intelligence really means that we have advanced machines that are able to get inputs from the environment, synthesize those inputs, and use them to make informed decisions. So I wanted to introduce this way, just so you know exactly what AIs are. As it stands now, the average AI you use is not really thinking. I want you to just get that settled in your mind. It's not thinking, it's guessing. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because even human beings, we have sometimes where we need to guess. We have sometimes where we need to make high-level guesses in order to get past certain situations. And that's because we may not have enough data for the situation. So just imagine someone asks you about maybe the weather, whether it's going to rain. You may not have checked the weather forecast. So whatever answer you would give would be a guess. That guess may be widely correct because this is Harmattan currently in Nigeria. And so in Abuja, we're not expecting rain by default. So that you got that answer correct does not mean you made a data-driven conclusion. You just guessed, but it's correct anyway. And so that's why AIs are so impressive, because they are trained to make such educated guesses, but they are not trained to actually be intelligent yet. We are getting there eventually, because true intelligence in machines is inevitable. If someone else doesn't do it, I promise you I will do it. Next slide, please. So let's travel in time. There's a ton of really interesting things here that I want people to know. So first off, a lot of us think AIs are very new, but the first AI program was written in 1951. That's like 74 years ago, before I think everybody here was born. So the first AI program was already written, and it started doing really cool stuff from way back then. So we've had 74 years of AI research and experience. So don't think that the latest iteration of AI we have just came from nowhere. No. As soon as computers came on board, people already started thinking of a way to make AIs, to make machines that could think. And that was actually the first step. The first step was, let's see if we could make machines that could think. Next thing was, let's see if we could make machines that could think autonomously. So then in the 1960s, we had AI that could learn to play checkers. So initially, they made an AI that could play checkers at the amateur level. Then they further iterated on it and made an AI that could actually learn by itself to play checkers. 1970s to 1980s, we had a significant adoption of AI by research institutes. So at this point, serious government organizations got involved. We saw DARPA, that's one of the arms of the American military that is involved in research. We saw Harvard and a ton of other very interesting research institutes start doing proper machine intelligence research. Then in the 1990s, we had the Deep Blue IBM machine that defeated Garry Kasparov, the then #1 chess champion in the world. So at this point, things started to get very real. 2000s, we got autonomous robots powered by AI, and then Google, the very interesting company, built an autonomous car in 2009, powered by AI, of course. And in the 2010s, we had more advanced AIs like natural language processing, which is just the ability to make AIs mimic human language. And then we also had deep learning models. Deep learning models just means that the machine has been trained on tons and tons and tons of data. And then that became mainstream because we started to see even Google's search algorithm, which prior to the invention of generative AIs, most people don't know, but Google's search algorithm was one of the most sophisticated and advanced AIs in existence. It has made them a ton of money anyway. So November 2022, the world changed. OpenAI released ChatGPT. And in a couple of weeks, they went up to about 100 million users. Today, they have 800 million weekly active users. Just pause and think about that. 800 million different people actively using one platform every week. That changed the entire world because once we hit that point, every other person started running to find a solution because nobody wanted to be left behind. It was such a new and such an interesting field of AI that people started to think, what are the financial implications? What are the security implications? You know, government started to think of cyber warfare in an entirely new manner. So governments began to fund organizations that had a lot to do with AI. So you see people like Larry Ellison, that's the founder of Oracle, people like Sam Altman, and a ton of other, Elon Musk as well, were invited to the White House because the government wanted to get directly involved in how this AI was progressing. And very recently, President Trump signed in a bill for the establishment of something he calls the Genesis mission. Now, the Genesis mission's sole purpose is to advance AIs at a national level. Very cool stuff. They're bringing together a lot of people from various industries to build very powerful AI for the purpose of cyber warfare. So once ChatGPT released this, we got more and more iterations. We saw Google Gemini releasing theirs. Initially, Google released something called Bard, which was quite poor in its operations. So they had to just revamp it. Then they released Gemini, and we saw other models from other companies. We saw Claude from Anthropic AI. We also saw Grok recently from XAI, that's Elon Musk's company. And then we just saw a lot of these things. And at some point, it seemed like nobody could unseat ChatGPT. It was the number one. And then I think 3-4 weeks ago, Google released its Gemini 3 Pro that has just been doing amazing things, and people are already abandoning ChatGPT in favor of this. While all of this is happening, the average person might have maybe one of 3 responses. One, you could think, what's going to happen to my life? What's going to happen to my job? And there could be a lot of anxiety. 2, you could think, well, let them do their thing. It's these tech people. Let them just keep moving. And then 3, you could be so overwhelmed with the information that you just get stuck. Like you have information overload and you're unable to do anything about the situation. So the purpose of the rest of the slides I'm going to share and my talk is to help you get a grasp on things. So it does not matter whatever field you are in. You should be able to know what to do, when to do it, and exactly how to do it. Next slide, please. So, like I asked, why is this important, all of this information so far? Every era of humanity's history and every civilization has had significant shifts. And it is those significant paradigm shifts that have marked the era. So we've had the material era where a lot of human beings were discovering iron ore and making things with iron ore. So in that era, what mattered was how much you have of material resources, from the ground. Then we had the innovation era where we started seeing people inventing things, steam engines. People started doing a ton of interesting things. And then we had the industrial era where a lot of manufacturing plants came up, and we saw cars, we saw a lot more sophisticated machines in different industries. And then very recently, from the 1950s, we had the information era when the internet itself was invented. And since then, it's like we've just been moving really, really fast. And we've just finally hit the inception of yet another era, which I call the compute era. Now, I could easily have called this the AI era, but there's so much more at play than just AI that a lot of people are not aware of. There is quantum computing, and there are other sophisticated means of computing that define this era. So calling it the AI era wouldn't really do justice. So I'm calling it the compute era. Now, what defines the compute era, and why is it important to you? Just like every other era has been, it's important to note that people who became well-known, people who made a lot of money, were people who found a way to plug into the paradigm shift of that era. So if this era is defined by compute, what is compute? Compute is simply just processing power of machines. And processing power does not make sense if there isn't good enough data, like Sammy said. So we need solid data. And so you're seeing more and more big tech companies like Google offering more sophisticated tools to you for free. Why? In exchange for your data. So as you are signing up, they're getting more and more data. Google just recently announced that they are giving students Gemini Pro for free. Why do you think so? Because students do academic work, research work, and they need their AIs to be trained on this type of data. So it's for free. Do you know how expensive it is to compute the data for running Gemini Pro? And they are willing to give it to you for free. It's because what they are making in return is way more than you could have ever paid them for it. So they don't really mind giving you these tools for free. And this is happening at a very, very fast pace. So you may now be sitting and thinking, what do I do about it? Like, how do I get into the data pie or the compute spy. So as the average person, whether you are an employee or an employer of labor, there are certain things you could actually do in your own space to ensure that you secure your own self and then you secure a future for your children. So I want to start with curating your data and your life online. Now, there is this tendency for the average person to think that all your data needs to be online. Everything about you needs to be online. If you're starting a business, you need to have an Instagram account. You need to have an account on social media just so that you can be seen. You really don't. In fact, the average person doesn't even know that there are corners of the internet that exist outside of Google search because we believe that everything we want to find, we have to find it on Google search. There are companies that actually release products and launch their websites and include code in those websites that ask search engines not to crawl the websites. What that means is that no matter how much you search for those websites on Google, you will never find it. You actually have to type the website address in order to find it. So there are people who are building a ton of very interesting things away from the public's eye. The reason is because if AIs continue to have your data as a sophisticated person, what you're doing is you're training your replacement. So no matter how intelligent you are, if you continue to pour out your intelligence in a space that is easily accessible, what you're doing is really just saying, come, my little AI, come replace me. That's what you're doing. You're just replacing yourself gradually. Some people may be replaced faster than others, but the reality remains the same, that as much as your useful information is out there, people are going to train their machines on this. There was something that happened sometime this year. So I'm an anime fan, and I follow this news very passionately. There is this animator called Hayao Miyazaki, a Japanese man, and he has this very interesting studio called Studio Ghibli. Now, I'm very certain if we just run a poll and we check your phone, some of your profile pictures may actually be an AI picture made by the Studio Ghibli effect. Now, what you don't know is that he had proprietary rights to that art style. However, the Japanese government allows AI companies to train their machines on proprietary copyrighted data. And so because his data was out there, even if in a country like Nigeria you would be protected, maybe protected, in Japan there is no protection for such people. And so OpenAI just went, trained their image generation AI on that, and started releasing it to the public. And this man just broke down. It was so much to handle because everywhere we just saw people getting excited. Even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, I think his current profile picture on Twitter, that's X, is still an image made by Studio Ghibli. That's how crazy it is. No royalties being paid to this man, nothing being given to him. An expert who has worked over 25 years in the anime industry, I can say he's just lost his livelihood because his will to continue doing this thing has been broken, it has been shattered. Because people have now, someone else just took his brainchild and gave it to the public and is making money from it without paying him anything. As crazy as that sounds, that could be any of us if we don't know how to build in private. The problem with us is you have a company, you have an idea, next thing you're announcing on Instagram, announcing on WhatsApp, announcing on all these platforms where people will take your data and train their AIs that will replace you. It's more annoying and irritating when you see your proprietary knowledge and data and maybe even an algorithm out there. GitHub, which is a popular open source platform in the tech world, currently, I don't know if the lawsuit is still on, but they faced a lawsuit by developers when the GitHub's AI started producing code from other people's personal data, other people's personal code that they have logged on GitHub. And it was so crazy because this belongs to people. So my advice for everybody, the first step you want to take is accept that it is possible to build things away from the public's eye. You don't have to build on Google. You don't have to build on social media. It's actually a good strategy. Don't think that your customers won't see you, what's going to happen. No, you can actually build elsewhere. The problem with us is we just feel like if we're not going with the recent trend, there's just a big knowledge gap, and we'll get left behind and things like that. You can actually build elsewhere. So don't feel afraid of building. That's where I'm starting. Next slide, please. So I said, where do you fit in? And I just left a very big space so you can find yourself there. So where do you fit in? The path to thought leadership. The answer to the question of the only job you need in the AI era is actually the job of a thought leader. And I'm going to explain what that means. The average person can say something like, I'm an expert at this, but I don't really like to talk about it. I don't like to put myself out there, and I'll just stay in my own space and I'm going to be fine. That's very wrong, not in the AI world, because the difference between the person that will be replaced and the person that will still hold their jobs is someone who has sway over the people, and that's who a thought leader is. So the only job you need is not actually a role, it's how you play your role, at your job. So it doesn't matter what you currently do, whatever it is, however you choose to play your role, whether as a thought leader or as somebody who wants to just build in silence and not let anybody know anything about your life, no matter how much of an expert you are, that will determine to a very large extent what will become of you. Because as it stands now, if an industry decides that they want to replace a ton of workers, they usually will start with the quiet ones. It doesn't matter how much results you're producing. And I'll just give an example from my personal life. I once worked at a company where I was in charge of growth, so growing the company online using search engine optimization and a number of other things. And I would, time and time again, produce results that were objectively good. So anybody could confirm my results and see that these results are good. But I was so quiet about it. I didn't know how to shout it. I didn't know how to tell people that, look, these results make sense, and this is how much is impacting the bottom line. And so they just did not mind. And I was passed up for promotion a couple of times, and I had to go and think, why is this happening to me? It was as simple as I just simply wasn't telling my story properly. So I'm going to end with a very reasonable next step template that everyone can follow. And it's called narrative engineering. You have to learn to engineer your own narrative. Some other person cannot tell your story better than you do. And narrative engineering begins with everything you say, knowing that you have a brand identity, knowing that there's a particular way you have to dress, a particular way you have to speak, and a particular vibe, if you have a company, a particular vibe your company should give off. These are the things that make sense and will make you stand out. Because without engineering your narrative, people will make assertions about you, they would guess, and then they will lead you down a path you don't want to go. You have to be able to say, this is what we do. And one of the companies that does that very well is a company we all know, Apple. Apple does not leave room for guesswork. They come up with a feature that has been available in Android for like 25 years, and they'll start singing songs about it and saying, we just created a camera that actually takes pictures of you. It doesn't just take pictures of you, it can also take pictures of you and your friend. It's just a basic camera that everybody has had. But Apple goes all the way to tell you just how important that feature is. They will even rename it, just so that you understand it is theirs. It is their story. They embody this thing and they are telling it with their full chest. But the average person will do something and just let it slide. Let the narrative be told on their behalf. What you have to start doing is building your own narratives, especially in this age of AI, because I tell you the truth. Thousands and thousands have lost their jobs, and I'm not trying to make you scared. The truth is, it doesn't matter whether you're doing a physical job or something online. Robotics has been advancing for years, so it's not really a new thing if we see robots replacing physical humans at factories even. So don't think that wherever you are in your space is secure. You have to become a thought leader. You have to lead the conversation. You have to move the industry in a particular direction consciously, using practical steps. Narrative engineering is what I think is still the best tool to move into the direction of a thought leader. Anyone who engineers their narratives usually will secure a place for themselves and their family in posterity. That's exactly how industries are built. You see Apple, you see the leaders of various industries, they engineer their narratives. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Okay. Thank you for your attention. And yeah.
Oh my God. I'm blown away because
there's just a lot of things that this has opened my mind to. It just keeps unraveling. I hope we are seeing now that you fit into this tech space already. For those of you that are like, "Oh, I'm not into tech, I don't do anything tech." Because what is that narrative engineering thing we just heard? Like, it's literally giving me goosebumps. We've been hearing, of late, I've been hearing more of storytelling. Like, own your story, tell your story. And I'm like, I don't like talking about myself that much. But in light of this, Kelvin and I realized that we hadn't introduced ourselves earlier. And so we're just going to do that because we need to start narrating our own, engineering our narrative.
Yeah.
So please go ahead, Kelvin. You have the floor. Introduce yourself.
Why are you putting me in the spotlight?
I'm not putting you in the spot, Introduce yourself.
I'm shy now.
No, you don't. Shy. Why are you shy?
Tech people
Even
are
if you
shy
are
people.
shy.
Tech people are shy people.
Yeah,
No?
actually.
Really?
Yes, very shy.
Well, I'm Kelvin by name.
Kelvin, introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Kelvin by name. I run an automobile company. I work as the legal compliance officer for a fintech organization, and many more. Jola, what do you do?
What do? I do a lot of things. But then, okay, so to niche down, I'm Angela Olua Anifowoshe, and I'm building a brand called The Global Angie because I'm global. So I'm the founder of a community called The Growth Circle, and basically we are young adults and adults, basically, having to navigate growth and adulting together. So I'm building systems, building community, building an ecosystem. And Kelvin right here is one of my stakeholders, just so we know that. And also, I'm a moderator. I'm a community manager for Ambience TV, Redefined. That's the media arm of Apostle Fem Lazarus Ministry. I also do other things, but let's put a full stop there for now. Thank you.
We said we no smoke.
Thank you.
We're trying to meet up to our guys here. We no smoke. And when he was talking, I remember there was a time I gave my AI a prompt, and then it spoke pidgin back. And I thought my AI was broken. I was like,
Broken.
Not knowing that, according to what he says, AI is learning from us every day. So I now understand why.
This thing he said too, right? This thing about AI speaking pidgin. I think I did a lot of code switching in my project work in school. Because he told us, go and do project. I wasn't going to give anybody my project to do, the nerd in school. No, I wasn't a nerd, per se. But, these intelligent, brilliant people, person that gets everybody together, you stand before them, you teach them. So I didn't need to do anything outside. So I did a lot of code switching and code mixing in my project work. And trust me, I used a lot of pidgin in it. So yes, you can do that. No. You see, I'm into tech. It's Texas, yeah. Texas.
She's really trying to fit in, but don't worry.
No, I'm not trying to fit in. You know that. Me, tech.
Put you in.
Tech personified. Can you see me, guys?
Okay, so we would be introducing our third speaker, right?
Yes.
The Global Angie, would you help us out?
You will do that this time around. You're going to do that.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Before then. We're not moving just yet. So we're going to be having a breakout session. We want to ruminate over every single thing that we've had to learn. And we're going to be doing that. And to take us on the session, we're going to invite, again, Dr. Irose Akpori. Clap now. Where's the energy at?
You people are not here. Okay,
Thank you.
People are missing out.
So in 5 minutes, I want to give everybody the opportunity to create their own AI in their own image. So just follow me. Just get out your phones and download an app from the App Store. It's called Poe, P-O-E. You can either download it from the App Store or go online. So poe.com or go to the App Store, and I'll just wait for you. So basically, it's an app that allows people to download like an entire repository of various AIs. So you can use it to create any kind of AI. You can train it on a simple prompt. So you can say, maybe you're my personal assistant. And in fact, that's what I'm going to lead us to do. I want us to create personal assistants that can help us in our daily life. So if you've downloaded it, just go ahead and sign up. Maybe sign up using Google just for speed's sake. Yes, Fast AI Chatbot, Poe, P-O-E. So if you've downloaded it, you can just go ahead and sign up. Please sign up using Google just for the sake of time, because start typing your email now. You may not finish today. So just sign up and you can just wave if you signed up. So it has a comprehensive list of bots. Have you guys signed up? Okay, so if you've signed up, next thing I want you to do is go to the option that says Create Bot. So you should see it on the panel to the left. So there's a menu button. So once you click on that menu button, you see Create up there. Can you guys see Create? Okay, so click on Create. So once you've clicked on Create, you see some options. There is prompt bot, image generation bot, video generation. For the sake of this expose, just click on prompt bot. So that's to create a bot using a prompt. You'd be asked the type. So it's already there, prompt bot. For a name, you can always edit the name. So I don't want us to delete this. Just leave the default name that they've given it. For a description, I want you to just type my personal AI assistant. Sorry, someone needs... What happened? Sorry, guys, sorry. So once you've signed up, the next step you want to take is open the menu button. It's, I think, top left. Then you will see Create. So click on Create. And once you've clicked on Create, a list of options would show. Then you click on Prompt Bot. So once you've clicked on Prompt Bot, a set of form fields would appear. And I said you can just leave the default name. You can always edit that default name. But for description, I want you to put my personal AI assistant. Then for base bots, you would see it's the default base bots. There would be GPT 5.1 instance. That's a very powerful one. But I don't want you to use that because you have only 3,000 compute points per day. One message to that bot takes like about 500 compute points, so it's too heavy. So you can scroll down, so you click on that field that says base bot, and then scroll down until you see Gemini 2.5 Flash, and then you use that. So once you've clicked on that, next thing I want you to do, the next option is prompt. So this is very personal. So what you want to type in that space is, you are my personal assistant, and then go ahead to describe yourself. So say maybe I'm an introvert, and I like so and so, and I do. Don't worry, your data is private in this regard. You can always even delete the entire bot. So I'm not saying you should give it your life history, but your data is private for this particular customized bot. So just tell it a little bit about yourself. Tell it maybe how many hours you work per day and your type of person. And then maybe just also tell it one fun fact about you. I'll just give you a minute to do that. So sorry, I said a minute. So once you're done with that, there's also an option called knowledge base, which allows you to add a knowledge source. This is just for much more comprehensive answers. You don't need that for the purpose of this exercise. But later on, if you want to edit it and do a lot of more powerful computing, you can add a knowledge bot. Maybe you write an entire list of things you do and things you want it to know about you, and then just upload that as a file. But if you've described yourself, next thing I want you to do is just put a greeting message. Maybe, hi there, I'm your personal assistant. Once you've done that, I think we should be done. Okay, no, once you've done that, you have to click on, there's meant to be an option for private so that the bot is not out there for everybody to see. Yeah, access. So the default option is everyone. So click on only you. So that way, this bot you're creating would only be available to you. So once you've done that, click publish, and you have your personal AI assistant. Now, this personal AI assistant, why it is an advantage over the default ChatGPTs because this particular one would learn from you and learn about you the more you chat with it. And then if there's any particular thing you want it to know, you can always edit the prompt and just add the information there and use it on a day-to-day basis. Helps you with your daily activities, your planning your to-do. So for instance, I live my life on very strict to-do and checklists. So I can just tell my boss, create a checklist for so and so activity because it knows the activity I usually do and what I usually do for that activity is to create the checklist with all of the factors considered. So I don't have to be racking my brain to think about these things. You can also use it for a very powerful to-do list. Give me a to-do list for so and so. Here's how my day is going to look like. It's going to be super personalized because it knows more about you than the regular bots, and it is largely private. I said largely private because who wants to have your data will still have your data. All right, so has everybody gone through the exercise? So you all have your bots. Awesome. So feel free to play with your bots. For those who actually maybe do some type of technical work at your place of work, you can also create personal bots for purposes of automating your workflow. So you don't have to do certain things over and over again, upload a knowledge source and things like that. So there's so much you can do with it. It's very powerful. And I just want to say, if you're using it, still be careful about how much data you're putting out there because you can never really be too careful. Thank you so much. So I'll just give the MCs.
Wow.
So now we have our personal assistant. Okay.
ChatGPT will be lacking very soon now with my
Well,
own personal
I don't know. I
assistant.
don't even know if I really want to leave ChatGPT alone anyway.
We have left Chat already.
No, but I think I would try. I'm a loyalist. Like, I'm loyal to the core. So I would just try,
Try.
Yes, I would try. Okay, so Kelvin.
So, our third speaker, apparently the person has similar experience with me. I like this. So, our third speaker, please permit me. I would try to not spell the name. Please don't be
Let
offended.
me help you. Should I?
After you've pushed him under the bus, shift. Ayakura Araka. Okay, I think I got that. Okay, I'm there. Is a legal and business professional with specialized expertise in data protection, corporate governance, and strategic advisory. Wow. He works at the intersection of law, technology, and policy, helping organizations develop robust compliance structure and navigate the legal implications of emerging technologies. His practice spans arbitration, mediation, legal research, and policy development with a strong focus on translating complex regulatory requirements into practical framework for individuals and businesses. Wow.
Not that you don't want to read.
Wow. Well, he was an integral in Iraq V. Domino. Is it Domino's or Dominus?
Domino's Pizza.
Wow. A viral and permit me. You know, sometimes English can be very funny to play tricks on you, but don't be offended.
Right.
Well, a viral data shaping privacy case that clarifies the legal boundaries of direct marketing and strengthening privacy protection for Nigerian citizens. In his broader work, he has drafted high-impact policy documents, developed data governance structures, and advised on responsible personal data handling, and contributed to the legal brief and strategic analysis across corporate and regulatory matters. With certification in marketing, arbitration, mediation, and management consulting, Ayakura combines legal proficiency with strategic thinking and a strong understanding of organizational processes. Please, let's welcome our third speaker. A round of applause, please.
With joy in our
It's
hearts.
more easy to be
With joy in our
a
hearts.
legal personnel in the fintech space.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ayan Kora. I'm a lawyer. So, it's kind of my slide. We put up. So I'm here to basically talk about the legal implications of the AI capabilities and AI technologies generally for individuals, for businesses, for the general labor market, and for my people, the legal profession at large. So, by way of introduction, next slide, please. By way of introduction, Dr. Erosia has already given like a historical overview of AI systems. But I would like to point out that human civilizations thrive and fall because of not having systems put in place to handle technological advancements like AI. So, for example, the printing press was invented in Germany in the 18th century. And because of that, we had access to books and materials that ordinarily would have been impossible to, copy. So before the printing press, you had to physically write down every single thing word for word, which was, very, very time consuming and expensive. But when the printing press came, the technological advancements led to the proliferation of books. So books, you could actually easily get books in libraries and all whatnot. There were civilizations like the British Empire. They thrived because of they had monopolies of the printing press. And other civilizations or other governments or empires that could not get access to this technology did not have the same development rate. So AI in itself is beyond technology. It has political implications, it has legal implications, it has all sorts of implications that we have to pay attention to. So I say all these things to just point out one thing, that AI is not something that should be a target for witch hunting. It is a technology that we should embrace, but we should also understand the limits and the structures put in place to protect our society against the excesses of AI. So by way of laws and policies, Eros already said that there really aren't so many laws on regulating AI, which to an extent is true. However, there are global policies. For example, please can you take to the next slide? For example, there are the, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So there is the OECD AI Principles of 2019, the EU Ethics Guidelines for Trustworthy AI 2019, the UNESCO Recommendations on the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence 2021, the G7 Hiroshima Process International Guiding Principles 2024, the UN General Assembly Resolution on Safe, Secure, and Trustworthy AI 2024. And also there is an OECD Governing AI Principle of 2025. That recently came out. Please, next slide. So these principles and these policy documents can be summarized to these 8 principles. So number 1, what they are basically saying is that AI must be human-centered and have human oversight. What this means is that even when we reach or we get to that point that AI can now think for itself or on its own, AI must be a tool for human beings, and human beings cannot be the tool for AI. So you must have watched science fiction movies where AI took over the world or stuff like that. So these principles are basically saying that, or this particular principle rather, is basically saying that AI systems must be for human benefit and cannot be to the detriment of human beings. Also, it is saying that there should be a human being overseeing these AI systems. So AI systems should not be independent. The second principle is safety, robustness, and security. Basically means that AI systems, AI models, all these chatbots, ChatGPT, they must be safe for us to use. Human beings cannot be threatened or under the risk of threats because they are using AI systems. The third, fairness, non-discrimination, and equity. This basically means that, as Sami said, there were some models that were trained on bad data. And because of the bad data, there were some unintended consequences, or maybe intended consequences, who knows. And part of it was the discrimination that came. So, because some facial recognition software was trained on the faces of white men, black men and women suffered because of that. So this principle is basically saying that AI systems must not be to the detriment of or discriminating against a particular gender, a particular race. Transparency. It is mandating that the AI developers must be transparent with their systems. They must be transparent in the things that they do, in the data that they collect, in the data that they analyze, in the data that they optimize, and stuff like that. Accountability and redress. So Hirose gave an example of OpenAI that basically stole somebody's process, the Japanese guy. This basically is saying that when such situations happen, AI systems must be accountable. The companies that own these AI models must be accountable, and there must be redress given to anyone that their rights have been infringed upon or their businesses have been taken away from them. Sustainability and social benefit. So we must not use AI systems to the point that they become detrimental to the society. It must be sustainable. It cannot be, for example, the nuclear arms race that we had. We should not use AI to the point that it is weaponized against human beings. Inclusivity and diversity, almost the same thing with discrimination. Then privacy, data protection, and data governance. The privacy part, this is very, very important because your data is the product, and I cannot emphasize this enough. Where you have AI systems that are free to use, you are the product, but not just to your personal data. So basically, personal data basically means any form of data that can be tied to you as a person. And in situations where you have to supply that data to AI models like ChatGPT now, for example, you can run a test. You can ask ChatGPT, what do you know about me? Whatever information it lists out are the pieces of data that you have supplied or it has gotten from the questions that you have asked from it or from its search on the internet. That is the products that they are selling because, as Sami said, once that data is synthesized and it's optimized, it becomes valuable information and it can be used for monetary benefit. Next slide. So there are laws actually that bind companies, but unfortunately, as you can see, there is no really any Nigerian law. The Nigerian strategy drafts that we have there is just a draft policy. It's really not binding. So the EU AI Act basically regulates AI in the EU. The Japanese AI Promotion Act is for the Japanese, but I want to draw a contrast between the first two. So for the EU, it's a binding document, and the document in itself is basically protecting human rights, protecting individuals, and protecting the society against the excesses of AI. But for Japan, on the other hand, unfortunately, we find that, as Hirose said, there really isn't protection. So they want a situation whereby innovation is put ahead of fundamental rights, ahead of individuals. So you would have the example that he gave, that a creator that has spent 25 years developing an anime studio, all of a sudden has overnight his entire business stolen by OpenAI, an AI company, and there really isn't anything that he can do about it. For the Nigeria's draft National AI Intelligence Strategy, so this draft document really isn't, it's still a draft, so it hasn't been passed, it hasn't been signed into law, and also it doesn't really make provisions, it just makes suggestions. It just says that we should have legal frameworks for this, for regulating AI in medicine, for regulating AI in law, for regulating AI in all this. It doesn't really make any specific provision. Next slide. So I want to focus on the legal implications of AI on 4 key areas: individuals, entrepreneurs, and businesses, on the labor markets as a whole, and legal professionals. Next slide. So for individuals, there are privacy concerns. Now, this example here, Italy in 2023, they temporarily banned ChatGPT because ChatGPT was basically infringing on the privacy of its citizens. And so the Italian Data Protection Authority suspended ChatGPT until OpenAI rather fixed what the issue was. And so we realize that, or we understand rather that, for individuals that are using AI systems, your privacy is a great concern, and it cannot be understated. The data that you feed these AI systems are the pieces of data rather that they hold and they would use, and you don't know where exactly it's going to go to. Most of these AI systems, or AI companies rather, cannot be held accountable by us. Our courts can't do anything about it. Our laws are non-existent. Our governments, really, we don't have systems put in place to protect our privacy against these AI systems. Next slide. So the second implication is bias. The example here is Amazon. So they had this AI recruitment tool or software that they used, which discriminated against women. So the AI system was trained largely on male-dominated data. And because of that, it's downgraded women for technical roles just because of the training data. So it discriminated based on the data that was available to it. And because of that, women suffered. So we can suffer as individuals because of bad data, or bad training data, or bad AI systems. Next slide. Defamation and reputational damage. In 2023, ChatGPT falsely accused an Australian mayor of bribery scandal. Now, what actually happened was that the guy was fired because he was a whistleblower. So he exposed corruption in the system. And when he was fired, there was a narrative that was put out that he was complicit in the bribery. ChatGPT did not fact check and just took it like that because it was data. And so he started spreading the wrong narrative that he was fired because he was complicit in the bribery, whereas he was the whistleblower. He exposed corruption. And so because of that, the man was defamed. His reputation was damaged just because of bad data. And of course, he sued. Next slide. Deepfakes and identity use. So there have been scammers that make use of AI systems to generate fake videos or to impersonate as another person. There was a recent scammer was watching, rather, a Nigerian actually. So he developed this deep fake of an American actor, and he lied to a bedridden 65-year-old woman who was about to die that he was so and so. It was like a love scam. And he used AI to make himself like that actor. And he made it so believable that his text, his way of speaking, his voice, his everything, his mannerisms, all of them were on point just because of AI systems. And that woman, of course, was defrauded, and she lost everything. Next slide. So the surveillance aspect of it, in China particularly, in some authoritarian governments use AI systems to actually monitor their citizens. So you see surveillance cameras, facial recognition technology. There are a lot of companies that specialize in this. And according to some laws, it is illegal. For example, in the EU AI Act, it is prohibited to do this kind of thing. But because we really don't have laws every other place, only in the EU, it is permitted all over the world, except in the EU. And I'm sure that many countries, particularly in Africa, would also employ AI in keeping track of each and every one. So it's basically like this. They already know your name, they know your identification number, they know whether you have a car or not, or whatever. They can track you through multiple places at the same time. So they know exactly where you are at any given time. And so they can predict where you can be, where you're going to, if you committed a crime, and all whatnot. So basically, they know everything about your life. Next slide. So for businesses and entrepreneurs, AI systems can be a very, very good thing. For administration, Irose just taught us about making an AI bot that can be your personal assistant. However, you should also now realize that when you're doing business and you're employing AI as an administrator, you bear liability where that AI system messes up. So the example that I gave about Amazon that used AI systems for hiring and it discriminated against women, Amazon had to bear responsibility for that. So as a business, if you employ AI systems, there is liability that would come on you, even though you were not the one that messed up. Next slide. So contractual and commercial liability. An hypothetical example. Imagine a logistics company uses AI to optimize its routes and then sends an independent contractor. So for example, Glovo now uses, this is an example, Glovo uses AI to know that this particular road is free. And unfortunately, the AI was not updated because now the road is under construction. And so the Glovo driver, because he still believes that the AI is telling it to go that direction, gets in there and gets injured. Glovo will bear liability because they are using that AI system. Even though the fault wasn't theirs, it was the AI system's fault. But because they are employing that AI system to tell its drivers that this is the route, or this is the route rather, to follow, Glovo will be liable. So there is now need, when you're getting into a contract with somebody, and that person is using AI systems, to put an AI indemnity clause. So a clause basically saying that I understand that you're making use of AI systems in your business. However, if that AI system should fail, or if it should breach the law, or if it should cause injury, I would not be liable for the damages. Next slide. So there is a consumer protection compliance situation. So in the UK, the Competition and Markets Authority warned AI chatbots like ChatGPT against deceptive or misleading outputs. There is always this tendency of hallucination that AI systems have. And most times when they hallucinate, they give wrong information and deceptive information. So the consumer protection aspect of that is that once they give somebody false information and that person acts on that false information, they should be liable. So as a business, if you're using AI systems to relate with your customers, and those customers are giving false information, the moment they act on that false information, as a business, you would bear some kind of liability, albeit vicariously. Next slide. Next slide, please. Data governance and cybersecurity. So we have a speaker that is specialized in data cybersecurity, so he's going to explain more on that. But hackers use AI systems to write code for hacking, to write ransomware code. There have been situations that there have been attacks on government systems because some hackers used AI systems like DeepSeek, for example, to write malicious software. So as a business, you have to understand that the moment you're using AI and that AI is not properly protected against cybersecurity threats, you will also be liable for breach of other people's data that is in your custody. Next slide. So for the labor market, Dr. Hirose was talking about the only job that you need in this era. However, we have to also understand that AI is revolutionary and a lot of people will lose their jobs. That's just the truth of the matter. So an example here is in 2023, the CEO of IBM, he said that in the next few years, about 7,800 people will lose their jobs. And unfortunately, that's just what it is. So it creates the need for better laws for addressing labor concerns. Next slide. So now we have to understand that we have to develop our skills to match the capabilities rather of AI. Next slide. So in your workplace, your company, depending on whatever the company is, may employ AI to be keeping tabs on you. So there was a company in China, I think they employed AI to ensure that once the computer is no longer, in use, after 5 minutes, it automatically locks the person out and says that the person is not working. So that person will not be paid for that period just because the AI systems determined that that person's mouse was not tracking or whatever parameters that they used. Next slide. So at the same time, people are losing their jobs. There are new jobs that are created by AI revolutionaries. So for example, AI auditors, AI ethics officers, prompt engineers. There are always new jobs that are created by every new technology. Next slide. So for the legal profession, I'll just run through this. There have been situations where lawyers used AI to, write a brief. And unfortunately for them, the AI hallucinated and gave them fake cases. And they lost the case. But aside from losing the case, the court awarded a $5,000 fine against them. Next slide. For intellectual property. So copyright owners, for example, patent owners and all whatnot, AI doesn't really care. And because there really aren't laws, or that our laws haven't been updated, for example, our Copyright Act hasn't been updated to accommodate the capabilities of AI. So because of that, you know that there are going to be loss of proprietary rights over something. So for example, Getty Images versus Stability AI. Getty Images, I know almost everybody knows Getty Images. They are a library of images, millions of images, of pictures rather. Stability AI used those images to train their AI model and did not give them compensation, did not pay them. So basically, they infringed on their copyright and there really wasn't compensation. So Getty Images sued. For the New York Times and OpenAI, OpenAI used the New York Times articles, millions of New York Times articles to train their models and did not compensate them. And so because of that, the New York Times sued. Next slide. Liability, next slide. So there is now need for a regulatory body. In Nigeria, we have the National Agency for Robotics and Inventions or something like that. So there is now a need for an agency that is specifically made for regulating AI in every country. And with this, I'll just say one more thing. Next slide. No, next slide. The field of AI research was founded at a workshop that was held on the campus of Dartmouth College in 1956. Attendees of the workshop became leaders of AI research for decades. We are here today not just to learn from these bright minds, but also to understand that everything that is being said here is for our benefit. And honestly speaking, we are at the verge of emerging technology that we have to take advantage of. The fact that there really aren't laws can be seen as an advantage. You can exploit the lack of laws. You can thrive because there aren't laws. You can make money because there aren't laws to protect, to restrict, or to prohibit you from doing certain things. But aside from that, you have to also understand that the failure to engage emerging technologies will leave you redundant. As an entrepreneur, as a business, as an individual, if you fail to evolve with the technologies and the times, unfortunately, you would be left behind. So in order not to be left behind, you have to engage this, and also you have to engage yourself. You have to develop, and you have to make sure that you stay with the times. Thank you.
I was saying that I've learned a lot. I hope you have all learned something.
Even the movement for me. We've moved from one point to another, and now we're in the legal aspect of things. The fact that there is nothing that exists without law, because where there's no law, the people will perish. And see lots of examples where people could perish if we don't understand these laws. So I hope we can see it, and we need to know and go deep into this thing so that we don't shoot ourselves in the leg in the long run.
Well, so how many of us can say that the love for tech has grown after the teaching that we've gotten today? Nobody.
What tech bros?
Okay.
What tech bros and sis already?
You people are not. That means a lot of you
we are
are not
into
really
it already.
fully-
We are into it already.
Okay, we're into it
tech
already.
sis and tech
Okay,
bros.
I don't need to drill you people. I apologize.
No. We're into it.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
We're going to be moving on with the next speaker, and he's our final speaker before we move on and eventually wrap up. and become tech giants ourselves. So, Shetar Davids is a cybersecurity architect and visionary, the founder of Sage Consolidated, a cybersecurity and AI innovations company dedicated to building the next generation of defense systems. He architected Sage, the security analysis and governance engine, an AI-powered security ecosystem designed to transform how organizations defend, detect, and respond to modern cyber threats. His work operates at the intersection of advanced security engineering, artificial intelligence, and strategic innovation, with a mission to create world-class security technology from Africa for the global stage. He has led the conceptualization and architecture of SAGE, designing intelligent defensive systems and enterprise-grade cybersecurity frameworks capable of addressing modern, complex threats. Beyond product innovation, he also founded SAGE Consolidated Academy, a virtual cybersecurity academy committed to training 20,000 individuals across Africa within 5 years, expanding access to cybersecurity skills and empowering the next generation of defenders. His driving mission is to build groundbreaking security technology from Africa for the world and redefine the future of digital defense with a clap innovation. I don't understand us. Where's the energy at? See people at the back. Can you see? For the people at the back, let's introduce and let's make welcome Shetar David.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, good afternoon once again. Thank you all so much for coming to this meeting. So everyone has been speaking about AI. I mean, they've even said everything, like talk about cybersecurity. Everybody's saying compliance. I don't know what I want to talk about, but just like I want us to recognize someone. Pastor Grace Acquire is in the house. Please, can we celebrate her? Thank you so much for joining us, man. Yeah. So a lot has been said. I really just want to ask: do we truly know what staying secure digitally is? If we look at the entire landscape of things, the ecosystem is increasing. The era has shifted. The paradigm is no longer the same. But how do we stay safe? Everyone here is on social media. Everyone here is using WhatsApp. Everyone here is using one tool or the other, like Mr. Sammy has said. But the issue there is you are all leaving digital footprints. There are footprints that you are leaving. And with footprints means there are people who can follow that footprint to your exact location. I'm trying to put it as simple as possible because cybersecurity can be complex with terms and all that. So let's see the slides, please. The first slide. Yeah, so what we're trying to do is what we're trying to look at is navigating the digital era, in the new frontiers of AI and everything. So I'm just going to be reading a few things for us so that we can see. So what I'm going to be focusing on is, the uncertain future. We are in a future that is uncertain. No one knows how it's going to look like. No one, AI this, AI that, prompting ChatGPT, giving your informations out, and all that stuff. So I'm just going to show you both individuals, as an individual, as an organization, how we are going to, protect ourselves. And so and I'm going to be showing us strategies on how to go about it. There are the basic ones. Run passwords, strong passwords. You use different pass keys. You use multi-factor authentication. You do whatever you do on your phone and your laptops using facial recognition and everything. But facial recognition is not what it used to be anymore, because now you have deep fakes now. Is that what they call it? Deep fakes. So it can be hacked. I like to use the word hacked, like in cybersecurity. It can be hacked. So don't feel safe just because your facial recognition. Someone else can use your PC and access your phone. So let's just go to the slides. Yeah, the next one. Cyber threats is now a massive and mandatory cost of doing digital business across doing digital businesses. Security must be an enabler of growth and not a roadblock. A lot of companies look at cybersecurity like something that is on the other side. Let's just wait. Let's just keep it. Let's think about it later. But it is with the emergence of AI, with whatever, all the things that is coming out right now, it is something that we need to begin to look at. We need to begin to budget for it. We need to begin to, make a way or make a space for it right now. Because, okay, I'd like to ask, how many people are company owners here? Okay. What kind of company? Is it digital? Is it tech? What kind of company? Okay, but you have like a website, right? And you have a social media space, right? Who else raised his hand? Yeah, what kind of company do you have? Sorry? Tech ed, like tech education. So you do, like, you teach people. All right, awesome. Who else? Yeah. What kind of company? For arts and culture. You have a website, but you have a website and you have a social media presence. Okay. Sorry? Educational website. What do you do? I can't hear you. Oh, okay. So you help people prepare for exams, and okay, awesome. So now, looking at everything they are talking about, it looks as though none of them, as it were, are not really doing, especially her. She's, what did you say your company is? Furniture and interior design. It doesn't look techy, but she has a website. She has a social media page, which in turn means that she has access, what's it called? Her presence is online. They're seeing what she's doing. She's posting it so that, that's the best way to get clients these days and all that. But now, there is all that. How do you then protect yourself if somebody decides to, as a person and as an organization, how do you defend yourself if one threat actor decides to say, okay, let me poke this person a little bit. Poking means I want to test this person's website, because usually there's something that we do in cybersecurity, that we do this scraping, mass scraping of different websites, emails, IP addresses, phone numbers, and all that. So if it could be anyone here, if your number or your data pops up in one of those scrapings while they are scraping it, so they decide to, okay, check you out. How strong is your website? How strong is your social media page or your profile? Your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, and the likes. Meanwhile, these social media pages or platforms, they do not have the structure, as it were, because I deal with them like really well. They don't have the structure for a back-end sort of security. They have, but you can't really do anything about it. If your page comes down, your page comes down. If your Instagram page comes down, if it's disabled, there's no even support, direct support for you to reach out to say, oh, this came down, this is the reason. There's nothing like that. So what I'm trying to show you guys is, okay, these things are there, and the threat is real. Like, it is so real, more real than what you can think of. My people here, they've spoken about the whole AI, this, compliance, everything that you guys can talk about, right? But, I'm trying to look for the best way to say it to you guys, not to get you guys scared. But as you're sitting here right now, somebody is probably trying to hack into something that is yours. You're probably not aware. As a hacker, I can sit on your account, whether it's your Gmail, whether it is your Facebook page or your Instagram page or whatever. It could even be your phone. By virtue of clicking a phishing link, I can be looking at you, staring at you. I can use, there's a tool called, Hydra. It's a hacking tool. I can install it remotely on your phone if I have your IP address, I have your email, and then send it to you. Or if I'm close to your phone, I can send it to you, and maybe clone it on your phone or something. And then I can literally stay on your device. Whichever device your phone comes in contact with, it just clones itself. So I can stay on your device for as long as possible. You are not even aware I'm there. I'm seeing everything you are doing, how you change your password, how you go to Instagram, how you click. As a matter of fact, I'm using your webcam or your phone camera to watch every time you are doing something. So if you imagine how much of a threat that is, then you begin to think security not in the long run, like right now, because it's really important. Please go back to the slides. Yeah, so imagine threat vectors. The modern attacker is automated, patient, and targeting our fundamental trust mechanisms. Did you see that? It's automated because there is AI-driven attacks. Patient, really patient. Like I said, I can be in your devices, I can be on your network, on your Wi-Fi for as long as possible. What am I looking for? I'm just waiting for the right time to strike, for the right information to steal, maybe to sell it, and then for the right moment to use your information to blackmail you, as it were. Then, and they are targeting our fundamental trust mechanisms. So we have AI-driven attacks. I just said it. That's the unseen enemy. That's where we are right now. Everything is automated. AI can do different things. Someone can clone your face online. Your pictures are online. You clone your face online. Use it to scam people. Even your fingerprints can be cloned. Different things are happening. So then we have the quantum horizon. This has to do with quantum computing. This is another side entirely. Then we have systemic risk. I call it the digital domino effect. Dealing with systems and structures, there are risks to take when you're even putting them in place. And when you're even trying to say, okay, this is how I want to do it. This is the kind of security I want to put in place. How am I going to put it in place? These things are really real. And I would really like to say, I'm trying to break it down to us as simple as possible. No, there is no security measure that is too small. Security is a lot of process. It's a lot of process. None is too small. From creating passwords, biometrics, facial recognition, it's not too small. It's a lot of process. You do multiple processes upon processes. There's something they call two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. That is, you have a password, then you have a passkey, then you have something that it's called something that you are, something that you hold, and something that you, there's this last one now, can't remember. But then it is basically your password, yourself, which is your fingerprint. Then there's a passkey, could be a USB drive or something. That's what they call a passkey. So next slide. So building a dynamic, adaptive, predictive technology architecture based on continuous verification. This is how we can shape the defense. This is how now it's moving. It's no longer just passwords now. It's no longer just fingerprinting. It's no longer just facial recognition. There's a new innovation that is, coming. We have to begin to adapt. We have to begin to become predictive. What is called zero trust architecture. Zero trust architecture is, can I have 6 people? Just volunteers, please. 6 people. 6, quickly. Zero trust architecture is testing everything. Everything should be tested. Yeah, so just stand side by side, like in a line. No, like one here, one here. Yeah, just like this. So now take a look at this. This is what zero trust is. Zero trust, initially, the way it used to be, once you verify once, then you can access it. But let's get closer. So, but the way zero trust works is everything you verify at every level, at every step. you want to log into your WhatsApp, for example. I think iPhone does it now. Can do your facial recognition. Then the next step is you want to access any chat. You need to verify if you're actually the one. So, for instance, I get here, oh, my name is Sheto. Then you move this way. They give me access. So normally, because I'm in the system, right, they should automatically give me access. But no, if I come here and I try without the passkey, these guys are not giving me access. I don't know if you understand the analogy. These guys are not giving me anything until I verify again. Now, the same verification here is not the same verification here. It's a different thing. So that's another example of multi-factor, but now this is much more deeper. So I've done a verification in this place. I have to come here and tell them something deeper. Oh, I am a cybersecurity person. And then they give me access. Then the next place, as many as possible. So in an organization, thank you so much, guys. In an organization that, you are building something or you are whatever, if it's product, everything, if you have people that you have employees, this is important. Zero trust architecture. Have that architecture in place. Have that structure in place that everything needs to be verified. Don't assume that because I know this employee, you just give them access to your platform or you give them access to the dashboard or whatever is used. The human being is the weakest link when it comes to cybersecurity. Although the human being is still the one that would use the tool, but the human being is still the weakest link. Okay, let me not go too far. So yeah, then there is AI-powered defense. This is predictive security. Think AI that can think a device or a security device that can predict what is going to happen, an attack that is going to happen based on past data, based on past attacks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Based on things that have happened, attacks that have happened in your system or in your infrastructure or in your company. So based on that data, it can predict, it's looking like this thing is going to happen again. So let me put the appropriate defense. That's what AI-powered defense is basically. Predictive security is able to predict, right? Then post-quantum cryptography, standardizing the future. This is not, I won't say this is the future, but this is now because we have quantum computing, we have everything coming into play. And this is another layer of cryptography is, how to explain it, is basically an encrypted kind of key. But now, this time, post-quantum, on a quantum level, do we understand? Yeah, that's like the easiest way I can put it. Next slide, please. So, strategic framework for resilience. So, this is the new currency of trust. We must shift our mindset from avoiding failure to being prepared for it. For businesses, actionable insights. For individuals, source verification, continuous education. For businesses, I just explained everything now. You have zero trust architecture, AI defense mechanisms in place. And I have to say, you don't have to be a tech company before you put these things into play. You don't have to be a tech company. Even she now on our website, if you look at it, it does not. Whoever builds the website should have put some form of security in place. If not, please ask them to do that. Yeah. So website, then your social media platforms. Yes, it is secured by the providers, but also put your own security. I've had multiple scenarios where platforms are managing, people are attackers are literally on the platform. Like I'm seeing the entire activity happening on the. I'm getting alerts on the mail. I'm getting alerts on my phone. So it is if you are not active, if you are not or instead of saying active, if you're not proactive, you would lose before you even think, before you know that something is happening, you've lost whatever it is. Before you know that there's something going on, you've lost it. So I really like us to pay attention to this. That's for businesses. Then for individuals, I've said it already, your two-factor your passwords. But if possible, don't just use passwords, use verification. Because a lot of people here don't even remember the password. Some people use more, one password for different devices. Everybody's guilty. If you are guilty, please just raise your hand. Don't be shy. Just let's see. Let's see. Okay, at least we are using one password for like at least 2 platforms or 2 places. For everything. And imagine. I mean, come on. I urge you, please go and change it. So if I would teach you how to create passwords, it's really easy. Please don't use Google suggested created passwords. I beg. You use it. Okay, so don't use it, right? Yes, it looks strong, but then it is also public. Google is a public engine, it's a public search engine. It's also public. Whoever knows his way, like me, I can decide to do, just check you guys out. Maybe I'll do that after this session, so that we'll see how strong you guys are. But you get the gist, right? Please and please and please. Then continuous education, like what I'm doing, educating, the next person, people in your company, cybersecurity awareness. October is cybersecurity awareness month. So continuous education, continuous learning. Cybersecurity is no longer for the tech guys. It's now for everyone, even executives, even employees. We're no longer staying on the high level of so much what's it called now? So much technical things. That's why I'm doing my very best. I wrote a lot of stuff that I wanted to see, but I just had to pass it like as simple as possible. Yeah, so next slide, if there is. Yeah, so lastly, collective accountability and adaptive mindsets are our best weapons against uncertainty. Training sessions, uncertainty training sessions. We stand at a critical inflection point. AI automates the threats. Quantum changes the rules of encryption, right? And hyperconnectivity expands the risk. To secure the future, we need 3 things. Proactive strategy, I've said that. Adaptive technology, I've said that. Collective accountability, pretty important. Until we learn how to do this, the major thing there is, a proactive strategy. It's not just the technology now. When I was learning cybersecurity, what I learned was beyond the tool. It was the mind of the attacker. If I can get the way the attacker is thinking, then it doesn't matter the tool. I should be able to defend against him. Or if I want to do anything at all, I just have to think like we call them threat actors. I just have to think like them, and I do what I need to do. So if you want to defend against an attacker, you need to begin to think like them. You need to begin to see things like them. Or else, the other side. So then, before the adaptive technology, proactive strategy, have strategies. For organizations, have strategies, have security, have a plan for security, have a budget for security, have an IT team that will oversee these things. It can be costly, and the process can be a lot, but it is better to spend that money on that, on putting that security posture in place than doing it after the attack has happened. For instance, an organization, is it Uber now? A ministry, now this is a church, lost $50 million to a cyber attack. What happened? Their live stream was hacked. So the money that there's an account number, the way they put the account number for people to sow. So it was hacked, and then they diverted all the funds that was being transferred to another account. So now you would ask live stream how? Yeah, I'm sure nobody has even thought about it, but these are things. There's nothing that is impossible when it comes to cybersecurity and hacking. Like I said, it's only when if the person has your time, they'll sit on you. Yeah, that's the thing. Once somebody has your time, they'll sit on it, and then there's nothing that can be done. There are tools, but The most important thing is the thinking. So with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that, the future is here, cybersecurity. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for paying attention. You know, one thing I found out? The fact that there is no job that is not digital now. There's even digital robbery. That's it now. Like, instead of you carrying guns to go and shoot in houses, still online.
You can do it online through live stream.
But seriously, that was mind-blowing. Like,
It was mind-opening.
it was it has been a very beautiful experience so far. And, we want to hear from you. Want you to pick the brains of our speaker. We want you to ask questions, because I know you have lots of questions on your
I
mind.
have questions.
See,
I
questions.
hope you guys have
I used to
questions.
say Kelvin is like the evil person. He's the wicked police. I'm the good police, guys. Very good police. So me, I don't really like asking a question like that. Well, Kelvin
I
has
have
all.
questions.
So if
It's
we
good
have
to ask
questions, please, this is time to ask questions. And very
Yeah,
good.
see,
Very
people are
beautiful, in
yes,
fact.
people are already
Oh,
signifying that they have questions.
okay.
So, we're going to be going into
We're supposed to have a
panelist
panel
session very
session
soon.
now. So speakers are supposed to be on stage, but while that is yet to be set up, we're just going to move into the crowd to pass the mic for us people to ask questions. So I'm going in. Please, your hands again. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, my question is directed to Mr. Oluwaseto David. Okay, you said if someone has your time, they can just sit on you. So right now, how do you know if your phone or any of your app has been hacked already? Is there any way to know? Is there any code? Is there any app you need to download to know if someone has hacked your phone or your social media? Thank you.
Okay, anomalous behavior. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Thank you. If you are Christ, the app or the device will begin to act in the way that it was not programmed to act. See, WhatsApp posts a status on its own. Your phone presses on its own, just like a little, like glitches on your phone. A software on your laptop or your phone is not acting the way it should act. I would have loved to give practical examples, but I didn't plan for that, right? Sorry? Oh, yes, you can. But how do you know? Number one, like I said, proactive, being proactive in it. Then paying attention to the little things. For example, a virus, for instance, or there are different forms of viruses, and there are things called bots. And so a virus, there's a type of virus that can cause your device to act in a way that it's not supposed to act. Or you find out that, okay, a very, very good example, you are searching your device, your phone or your laptop, and you see duplicated files of the same thing. I don't know if anybody has ever seen something like that. Same file, everything is just white. Have you ever come across something like that? That could be a potential hack. Like there's a file that is duplicating itself on your device, and you don't know. You just think, you just want to delete it. But every time you delete, you find out that your storage is still full. You find out that if you know how to check your laptop very well, you find out that your CPU power is the usage is too high. Those are things that you can say that, okay, you can begin to check for. Not necessarily that automatically means your laptop is being hacked, but there are signs that something is going on the background that you don't know about. So you need to begin to check. That's why I mentioned continuous education. It's very, very important. Unless you know these things, you would not know. So, for example, you might see a file that you named let's say introduction of myself, right? Or company report, something like that. And then you saw it somewhere, and then you are seeing like 20 different other files, but they are white, but you are seeing them in a remote location on your device. Something like that. That's most likely so I mean, there's a hack. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Sheto, a follow-up to that question. Few months ago, my phone was cloned. So, and I didn't get any of these symptoms that you just mentioned. So, how do actually...
Yeah. How did you know that your phone was cloned?
Okay, because the person that now came up with, forwarded me messages on my WhatsApp. And like the example you gave when you were speaking, those particular messages were locked. So till today I'm still stunned, honestly.
You said sorry, can you come closer, please? Let me stand so that. Yes, you said your phone was cloned, and then you noticed that the messages from where? That were locked. You locked messages on your WhatsApp. Okay. So a cloned phone is a completely different ballgame. When I clone your phone, your device, I am copying everything of yours to my device. That means I have the same privileges that you have on the device to my device, on my device as well. I'm not operating your device. I am operating your device on my device. Do you understand? So you won't notice anything. It's cloning. I'm cloning a different version of you. So I can do different things without you knowing. I don't know if you understand. Don't put your phone in public places. Don't put it down. Public places. Don't connect to public Wi-Fi. You understand? Yeah. Because it seems easy when you want to buy something in KFC or, I don't know, you just put your phone down on the table. You just have to be conscious. Do you understand? You just have to be really conscious of it. Don't, especially in public places, not necessarily at home. Yeah. Your office is not your personal space. Did the person ask you for money? So what was the reason for cloning when the person reached out? And they wanted to sell to you, or do you know who the person is? The person sounded like someone that you know. Okay. Sounded like the person did it knowing that, or was trying to get an information from you or something. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi. How are you guys doing?
We're fine, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I have what I have reduced to basically 4 questions. Yes. And let me just start. Okay, I'll rush. Somebody told me I have to rush, and I'll rush. I'm a very AI positive person. I use it a lot in my legal practice. I use it in my spare time. I like to build agents, automations, and I'm recently dabbling into like using AI to build full stack applications. And even I can't help but be concerned at the rate of how it is developing, particularly when it comes to generative AI and what it is capable of doing. You know, earlier this year, I could confidently beat my chest that I could spot a piece of AI-generated media. But recently, it's been growing in such sophistication and at an alarming pace that I'm concerned of the possible nefarious applications of it, especially at the wide scale. So what I'm particularly asking is, in the realm of cybersecurity, is there a way to, or is there a movement leaning to democratize cybersecurity? Cybersecurity right now seems like something firms with a lot of money do, but I think it's relevant to the day-to-day person. For example, somebody who creates a I'm looking for a word now, a convincing video of, let's say, one of our leading fathers of faith in the country looking to be in a meeting and by implication being a financer of terrorism, and it's very convincing. Or creating, you know, somebody engaged in the worst forms of explicit sexual content and then pushing it towards social media, causing a little bit of mass hysteria. I think the purpose of such an attack would be to create the belief that such a thing is actually real or that it happened. And apart from Twitter community notes, this is AI generated, what can the average person do, the average consumer of social media do to detect AI-generated content, malicious AI-generated content, especially when it's growing in such sophistication that it is increasingly difficult to tell. So what are the cybersecurity tools available for us that do not have the resources to have our own cybersecurity analyst professionals on call? That's one. And then for the legal aspect of it, what I'm asking is, do I still have time? Can I? Okay, I've been exceeding my time, sorry. So for the legal aspect of it, I know that basically you said that we don't have anything here in Nigeria, sort of like a legal framework, but I'm interested that in the more developed climes of the world, whereby it is taken as a serious thing, AI, especially AI intellectual property theft, what really has been the leaning of the decision makers towards actions brought? So for example, recently, I don't know if you know, but AI-generated music artists have become a thing, created by people like you and me, and then pushed to platforms like YouTube, AudioMac, and then are making money. Where it becomes an intellectual property theft is that I could have prompted and created my AI celebrity to, you know, tap from the anointing of Rihanna, Beyonce, this person, to create a female R&B pop star that, even though it is not based on one person, you can see elements of different people in it. So when somebody is bringing action, like what Doc said about my private files in GitHub being accessed, my private files in Adobe being accessed, and is bringing it to global EU decision makers, what really has been their stance? Are they taking a citizen-forward stance towards saying that some of these things need to be regulated? And then the more philosophical question is, has AI grown to a point whereby it seems it can no longer be regulated, that it has outgrown its maker and has sort of become a hydra? And then finally, that was my third question. This is my fourth question. Finally, Elon Musk got into a little bit of issue some time ago about his Grok, particularly the environmental implications of it. Apparently, it was poisoning a town in Minnesota, Mississippi, or somewhere in the US. So I want to know that, apart from the AI we see, the AI back end, is it posing a particularly poignant environmental threat, even more than normal? Thank you.
Wow. I think you had questions for all our panelists. So,
okay, so let me answer the legal aspects. So for advanced jurisdictions like the EU AI Act, it's a binding piece of legislation. It's not like a policy that is just suggestive rather, it's binding. And the act is a very human-centric act. So it protects human beings. It doesn't really care so much about the innovations in the space of artificial intelligence. So unlike the Japanese Act, it doesn't really want a situation whereby the AI companies develop AI systems that are detrimental to human rights and the human beings. So what it does is that it classifies AI models based on risks. So it has a non-acceptable risk threshold. For AI systems that are used for facial recognition, facial tracking, and all whatnot, they cannot exist. In EU, in the European Union, they cannot exist. For generative AI models like ChatGPT, those are medium risk. So there are certain requirements, compliance requirements for them. So for example, they must have a human being that is overseeing, maybe like a red team, for example, a team of human beings that oversee the capabilities of these AI models, whether or not they can be used to generate deepfakes, like you mentioned, pornography, and all whatnot. Basically, human beings that make sure that these AI systems do not go rogue or are not being used for nefarious activities. And if anything should happen, those human beings will be held responsible and accountable. That's one. And the other is that you mentioned deepfakes. I don't know if you wanted the legal angle of that, because for cybersecurity, it's a completely different thing. For law, if somebody's reputation is damaged, or let's say somebody's likeness is used to commit or to make a video, it's more of defamation. It's not really, there's not really any specific AI, law that is going to hold those AI companies accountable. It's just defamation. You have to just sue under the current framework that we have. So for copyrights that you mentioned, intellectual property, unfortunately, our intellectual property laws haven't been updated to accommodate, and it's not even just in Nigeria. So globally, aside from the EU, there is this position that governments want to take. That is that they want to see the limits of AI. They want to be the first to win the race. And then once they win that race, they can now start properly regulating AI. It's a very intentional stance. It's not that they don't have the law or they don't want to pass the laws. It's just that they don't want to be the ones that are limiting their own companies from developing as fast as possible. So with that stance, they just don't want to put in policies and laws that are going to inhibit that progress. So the laws, unfortunately, will not catch up until we have finally gotten to the destination that globally we now agree that, okay, we need to now regulate AI. So that was why I was advising that we take advantage of this, because it won't last forever. So as a business, you can actually get into tech, because there really isn't regulation, so you can take advantage of the lack of regulation and do whatever you want to do to capture market or to make money or whatsoever. I think that should answer all the legal questions that you had. All right, thank you.
Okay, if I may, I would take a shot at the philosophical question you posed. And you asked if AI is at a point now where it is not possible to regulate it anymore. Well, essentially, it is not at that point. The scare is that that's where we're going, which is interesting because from the legal aspect, like what Ayakora just said, the position that they put out publicly is that when we get to that point, then we would regulate. But the problem is that what AI developers are pursuing is something called AGI. I think Irose mentioned this, Artificial General Intelligence. Now, one of the components of AGI is called RSI, Recursive Self-Improvement. In fact, that is actually the pursuit of AI developers. And that is the position where AI will be able to create itself. So it can learn, it can generate itself, it can repair itself, replicate itself, you understand? Now, at that point, it then becomes almost impossible to regulate. So actually what we're dealing with is a global complex of geopolitics where what people are saying publicly and what they're saying privately are actually not the same. So publicly they'll paint a picture of, oh, let's just push the boundary as far as we can when we get there before the next man, because the entire thing is geopolitical, as I said. So you have the United States thinking that if they were to regulate, we had this conversation earlier today, if they regulate their AI program, China might expand there so much more and get to AGI before them. you know. And China is thinking if they regulate, the US could expand their program and get to AGI before them, you understand? So nobody really wants to put themselves in a box. So publicly they will tell you, oh, let's just expand it as far as we can, and when we get to that point, we would regulate it. The problem is, they don't know what that point is. None of us know what that point is or what it would look like. So there's a very high chance that when it does get to that point, it may very well also be too late to even regulate. So at the end of the day, right now, we are playing in uncharted waters, and there is still that sense of uncertainty with it. But if it's at the moment, it is still at a time when it can be regulated. Yes.
All right, then let's move on to the next question.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is to Sheto. I want you to teach us how to create a very good password. Because for me, whilst I was going, when you were talking, I was going through my phone, a lot of my passwords have been compromised. So I would actually want you to teach us how to create a good one.
Okay. What does your password look like normally? Let's start from there.
A bunch of like my name, some numbers, like that.
Your name and number.
My name, not like my name like that, but my name and some other figures and some, and then I also use Google passwords too sometimes. I do not realize that.
So, yeah, that's good. But in creating passwords, try not to use your name or your friend's name or your boyfriend's name or your date of birth or to this year, 2025, 2026. For someone like me, I can guess it, you know. So how to create strong passwords? Use characters. And don't just use characters like that. Do characters in a sequence. Do 6 characters here, put an hyphen. 6 characters here, put an hyphen. 4 characters here, put an hyphen. You know, you can do something strong like that. It would take, if I want to break into your password, that kind of password with the current tools that I have, but if it is AI tool that is tireless, I can break into it in less than 24 hours. There's nothing, so have this in mind, there's nothing that can be broken into. There's nothing that cannot be hacked. It just depends on when will it be hacked. You understand? So, but when creating strong passwords, that's the strongest kind of password. 6 character, different sequences, right? Different. Don't use, if you're going to use letters or numbers, use them in sequence. Do you understand what I mean by sequence? Can you hear me? Okay, so do 6 here, 4 here, 3 here, 6 again, like that. So it's that way, and don't try to remember your password. Please stop trying to remember password. Just have a password manager that can help out. I know somebody is asking, what if your password manager is hacked? Okay, so, I mean, like I said, there's nothing that can be hacked. Do you understand? But it's better to use password managers, or better still, write them in your notes, in the physical, with your pen. It's difficult, but it is, for me, it's the safest way to keep your password. In fact, it's the safest way to keep your information. Writing it on hard copy paper, whatever you want to do, anything. But if you don't have the time, use a password manager. Find there are lots of them out there. There's Node password manager. All these VPN service providers, they have password managers. Don't use Google password manager, like I said. It's public. So, yeah. Do you understand? Thank you so much.
Wow. I just discovered that my password too might be compromised.
Yeah.
I want to believe I'm not the only person when I say a lot of us use our names, numbers, date of birth to create passwords.
Yeah.
and that can easily be hacked into, like you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get the next question, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Adam, and I'm a founder. So basically, I have a software and cybersecurity company, and I do custom solutions for companies, financial institutions at large. And basically, we build systems such as GRC platforms, password management systems, and also compliance platforms. So my question is from, let's say, from your collective experience, I would say, what do you think is the most overlooked challenge in organizations within Africa that still face, that organizations in Africa still face in achieving effective cybersecurity and compliance, and how can builders like us actually close that gap? So that's basically my question. You want me to take it again? Should I go again? Okay, I said, based on your collective experience, what do you think builders like us can do to close the gap in which African institutions, organizations are still facing? Because looking at it based of cybersecurity and compliances, there is a lot of gaps in institutions such as in Nigeria, in Africa at large. So we've worked with financial institutions and we've seen that they have a lot of gaps, ranging from compliance, from even common awareness, like you said earlier, awareness. A lot of them lack awareness. So yes.
Thank you so much for that question. My company that I'm building, or that I built, is designed to solve this particular question. The most common issue that we have in the African space is skill gap trust. Skill gap trust. Skill gap because when learning cybersecurity, we have a lot of, as you know, we have a lot of courses, from Coursera to Udemy to this to that, and everything is so scattered all around, one does not even know, where to start from. And the skill gap is so large that today anybody can just come and say, I'm a cybersecurity person. In fact, they use AI now to score interviews and all that, but getting on the job, they can't really perform. I know a guy who got a job in the UK as a cybersecurity person, cybersecurity analyst, actually. He has taken the exams, theoretical aspect, awesome guy. But when he got into the company, after a week, they realized that he has no knowledge of real-life tools. So he was dropped. They had to drop him because in his CV and plus the interview, he had like super amount of experience. In fact, the way they were, because he told me about the entire thing, the way they were interviewing him, and it was, big guy, got a job paying £1,000 per year and everything. But they had to drop him because he didn't have any skill. That's one. Then trust. The African space is, I don't trust you. I don't trust the what's it called now? Whatever you say the company is doing. So even as a cybersecurity company, there is the trust gap. So we need to, in fact, personally, I would say that's the most fundamental issue. Leave technology alone. The trust gap is so large. It's too much. So there is no trust with the business. There's no trust from the business to, most cybersecurity companies, business to business, not business to consumer. Even businesses, for a bank to want to trust you, they need to have seen a level of track record. And even if you have that level of track record, they still have issues. They still, and the cybersecurity company itself will still have issues because of what you mentioned, compliance. They are not following the basic regulations in the region. Things like, what's this payment? PCI DSS. They don't follow it. And they own their own payments gateway. but then you want a cybersecurity company to come and do this. But then at the end of the day, the cybersecurity company will be the one to take the brunt of the whole issue. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So trust is the major. If we can bridge the gap of trust, then I tell you, the way the cybersecurity, the security landscape in Africa will shift. It will amaze you. So that's it. You can check, fact check, like Apostle Femi Lazarus would say. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My question is for Dr. Yorosef. It's a three-part question, but I want to try and put it into one because it revolves around the same thing. Something that you said about some organizations that are not online, that they have this, like they've made themselves obscure somehow, and to try to not have a digital footprint. So I'm trying to understand because they're online. Sorry, I don't have tech knowledge. So but they're online, right?
Yes.
So basically, from what I understand, they've moved themselves to obscurity to try to not have AI have their information. But when you're online, aren't you like in the cloud? And if you're in the cloud, doesn't AI have access to everything in the cloud?
Not really. So being online does not mean being on Google.
Sorry.
You know, we use Google to access the internet. So being online does not mean being on Google. Google is just a website which is called a search engine that enables us to access other websites that have been indexed in its database. So I can create a website, and I actually have done this, and put it on the internet, which is just a network of protocols that connects with each other and talk to each other. But then I instruct search engine bots not to crawl and index my web page using a simple line of code on my website. I can also use that to instruct AI bots not to crawl my website. So what that means is I'm still online. If you type www.10excel.org, you would get to my web page. However, if you typed 10excel on Google, you wouldn't find it.
Okay, now I understand. So you're saying they are not that they are online, but just that some, like Google, for example, can't search them out.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you don't see them.
Yeah, you
Look,
can
I thought you
actually
meant
get
that you
them.
don't see them. So I'm wondering, how do they now get clientele if you're not visible?
It's just a level of exclusivity that some people like. So everybody who lands on their page, it means it was clear they intentionally sought them out.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Wow. Do we have another question? Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Mira Kolome. I'm a visual artist, and I love to use AI to create and also further my arts works. Like, I bring them to life. After painting, they can talk or something like that. And my question is, for some of us that want to combat any threats that come to our websites, or for me that use AI now to further my work, like AR, augmented reality, how can I combat it from, like, my IP, from it being stolen, from it being hacked, or from it being used? Like you mentioned that Japanese guy, from your idea being used. Me, I like money, so don't touch my idea. So how do I protect my ideas? Because I've started putting it out there, especially on Instagram. So how do I protect it? And how do I also know what AI can I use to attack if you are coming for me?
I get you.
Attack.
So what you want to do is, and you can actually do this with Poe, by the way, you can actually begin to train an AI on your own art style and invite your audience to already see that. There is no value in another company training their AIs on your art style if you've already done that. The only value is if you've not done that. But if you've done that and your people already know your art style that is unique to you is available via AI, all you need to do is your own original works, you put a premium price on it, and then your AI-generated works, you put a more retail-based price on it. So you've protected yourself and your IP while also moving ahead with the technology, because you don't want to not adopt it. You must adopt the technology. However, adopt it in such a way that renders it valueless to bigger companies. So why would OpenAI want your art style if you've already made that into an art form that other people can just use AI to generate? You're already making the money from it. And if Hayao Miyazaki had done that, he wouldn't have been where he is today. He was strongly opposed to adoption of AI. And so that was partly his undoing.
Wow. Okay, so before we go on with a lot of public questions, I personally have a question. Right? So my question is, how should the average person prepare for, upcoming tech innovation?
In reality, that question is kind of simple to answer, as it were. Every technological era drops the seeds for the next era. So there's a reason why they call systems. There's a reason why they call tech systems solutions. It's simply because they are addressing problems. So if you want to know, and by virtue of that, prepare for what's coming next, you look at where the gaps currently are, what the problems are, what space currently exists in any industry where technology can fit in. And then you start to get with the program. So if you take a typical example of what happened between Blockbuster and Netflix, for example, in the year 2000, where Netflix approached them to buy them for $50 million, and Blockbuster rejected. Now Blockbuster has long been bankrupt for many, many years, and Netflix is market shareholder in the industry. And simply because what Blockbuster were doing at the time was that their major profits, in fact, I think about 60% of the profits was made off late returns. So when you go and borrow physical DVD for movies and you bring it back late, if it's a day late, you pay maybe like $3 extra, and the longer it stays, the more money you pay with it. Netflix themselves saw that opportunity and they simply just slot in. At the time, obviously, the internet usage with streaming was not what it is today, so there was none. But what they went into was renting online and sending it to your mail. But they removed the place of late fees totally. So anytime you're done, and that was where they started subscriptions. So as long as you subscribe, you take the copy. Whenever you're done, you return it. That's just an example of how every solution that comes is called a solution for a reason, because it's responding to an actual problem. So if you want to understand and prepare for where the world is going technology-wise, look at the problems that currently exist and understand that those are the things that the big developers, including some of us here, are actually looking at to slot in. That's simply what it is.
Wow. Thank you very much. Do we have questions?
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam, for that comment. I think you've spoken to one part of my question. My name is Tosin Paul, and I say an AI enthusiast. Like, for a couple of months now, I've been doing a lot of vibe coding, building stuff with AI solutions. Yeah. While Dr. David was speaking, he mentioned some things that are actually baffling to me. Currently, I'm building a mobile app using AI tools, like combination of multiple of them. And it's really good. I mean, if I show you, you won't believe that it's built by AI. But the challenge now is, do you think for products like that, do you think it's something that can be marketable? Yeah, of course, you mentioned the other part to the arts lady about art and all of that. Yes, I have a price list. I also do websites. I tell people if I'm going to use Lovable or Agentic to build your website, this is the price. If I'm going to actually build it, this is the price, right? But for this particular app now, I've invested a lot of time and credit and unit on it. But do you think it's something that, again, could be sustainable or can be done right or can actually be a marketable product? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, so I think, yes, it can be. However, whether or not you would succeed would just be based on your marketing, how well you're able to tell the story. because a ton of the companies that evolve past the first 5 years of their startup stage is because of storytelling. So on the technology angle, I would say it's solid. It's solid enough because very soon, people like the founder of Anthropic, that's Claude AI, have already been saying that up to 90% of their code will be built by AI. That currently is at about 70%. So that people know that AI is doing things is already a given. So it's really the marketing that will now differentiate you. So how well are you going to tell your story that will make people believe that this stuff is worth investing in? So I think it's a storytelling thing, not really the technology thing. Just tell your story well, and I think it's going to go well.
Thank you, everyone, for the awesome presentation. My name is Fiona, and my question goes to Mr. Sote. I am a customer service support specialist, and I'm transiting to cybersecurity. So, and I picked up incident response specialist, and I noticed there's too much coding in it, and I'm thinking of diverting to penetration as a penetration tester. So what would you advise I do to enable me succeed and excel better?
Okay, so if I get your question, you picked up incident response specialist, but you want to, what's your reason for moving? Coding. So you think you want to, you want to transition to a penetration testing specialist. Wow, I celebrate you. You know why? Because penetration testing is 99% coding. Yeah, because you're going to write codes and all. Incident response specialist is actually a good place. It's actually a good place to be because you are more on the defensive side. Okay, so there are three domains in cybersecurity, majorly. The defensive side, two rather, defensive and offensive. Where you want to move to is the offensive side, being the penetration testing side, which is that's the reactive, or should I say proactive now. But if you stay on the defensive, which is incident response specialist, it's just part of a cadre in the entire, should I say, in the entire defensive system or ecosystem now, right? So do I think you will succeed? Yes, more than incident response specialist. Is it tough? More than incident response specialist. If you move to the penetration testing. Is there coding in penetration testing? Of course. Lots of tools, though. You explore lots of tools to use in pen testing specialist than incident response specialist. But can you do it? It all depends on you. I think you succeed in both. It just depends on. I was saying something the other time that it is your mind, majorly. If you can think like whatever you're trying to do, right? Then the tools is not them. The tool or the technology is not the problem. The problem is how you approach the entire situation. So I will just go further a little bit. Do you understand what incident response specialist is? What does an incident response specialist do? Can someone get her a mic, please?
Thank you. They are the ones who stand in to resolve issues at the first instance, like the people at the first gate. They are the ones you come in contact with first, and then they try to check what incident that is happening on the person's device or application first before resolving it.
Then there is the pen test.
Yes.
Who are the ones that proactively hunt for threats like that before they happen, right? And look for it. So, looking at it, do you want to hunt for the threat or you want to defend the threat?
Defend the threat.
So stay with incident response. I think you should.
Okay.
But then you will also thrive with. If you're avoiding coding, please don't go to pen test.
But I know it's not much coding in incident response.
Sorry?
There's not much coding in incident response.
Exactly. So Just stay with it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so unfortunately, that would be our last question for today. But I believe a personal, response is more better than having to ask questions. So after we wrap up, you can meet with our panelists one-on-one and ask your questions. Then for those of us online who have questions, please, you can put it in the chat or in the comment section, and then our panelists will get to you. So while we wrap up, our panelists, thank you so much. It's been enlightening. Thank you very, very much. Please, a round of applause for them. Okay. So while we're preparing to close, we would call
It's indeed been a beautiful, beautiful session, and we really appreciate your presence. We appreciate that you're here to learn, and we appreciate that you stayed till to the end. You're indeed an MVP. And to wrap up this Tech for All Summit, Tech for All, the first edition, 2025, we'll be calling on Dr. Irose to wrap it up for us. Thank you.
So I want to say one final thank you to all of you for staying with us throughout the entire event. It's been really amazing. I enjoyed the question and answer session, and everybody did really well on both sides, both the speakers and the people who asked questions. So speakers, thank you so very much. And for the audience, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying with us. So finally, I just want to invite Mr. Alesh to give the closing remarks, and then we can wrap this up. Is he around? Okay, yeah, he's coming. Please, a round of applause for him.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Able men, thank you so much. To be honest, you would agree with me that this has been nothing short of an eye-opener, because there were things you thought you knew, but you actually have known them better today. Am I correct? So quickly, I would just say thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you to our MCs and moderators. Thank you to every one of you, because if you are not here, they can't consume this knowledge for themselves. Well, they might be able to do that, but it is important that people are here. Thank you so much. With everything we've learned, I would like to just chip in one thing, and with your permissions. If you look at everything we've heard, it sounds more like AI is a threat, more especially to jobs. But as a person, I believe that AI is actually not threats to jobs, but they are actually threats to the people who refuse to embrace the reality. As a CEO, for instance, I want to cut down my staff because now there is AI. I'm going to look at, okay, who works better with AI, who works smarter? I pick you, the guy who refused to develop themselves. So which boils down, or which boils back to ignorance or lack of self-development, right? So it has always been a threat if people do not develop themselves. These men that are solid today, if they stay here and not develop, tomorrow you won't sit down here to listen to them. Am I correct, sir? So I want to urge us to, whatever we've learned today, put it to practice, right? Try to develop yourself. And one thing I do, I always ask for why. How true is this? How solid is this? And the only way you know is when you try to, put what you've learned to practice. Thank you so much, guys. And just to also mention, this is part of the things you enjoy being a member of the community groups. I cannot tell you this without mentioning this, right? So, as a member of a community group in Light Nation, you don't just get to enjoy things that have to do with, okay, I need help, you get help. But you're also developing yourself as a person. We are trying to hold hands together to see that we are better individuals. We are better people to our families, to our workspace, to the church, and to the body of Christ generally. So with these very few words, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming, and God bless you all.
That's it, it's a wrap. Yes, thank you so much everyone for coming.